Hello, everybody, and welcome to the Blue Thunder Pod's Turnbuckle Time Machine. I'm your host, Billy Sullivan. With me, as always, my mom's favorite podcast host and the real world champ, Dave Linovich.
First, I was just it was just aesthetically pleasing, and now I'm your mother's favorite, and I'm the real world's champ.
Yeah. So I figured I'm going to start. What I'll start doing is, and I know every time we start one of these podcasts, and I do another intro, I'm like, so I figure what I'll start doing now. But it adds together essentially into a miasma of like the final creation. So I'm happy with my mom's favorite podcast host.
You're happy with it.
And then I am going to, at least for the Turnbuckle Time Machines, incorporate a little Easter egg like the real world champ.
I'm holding something you can't see because in 1992, we just hide things we don't want to admit are real.
yeah.
Which is the big crux of this show going into this show.
So speaking of,
segue.
The show that we are going to be reviewing today is it's a big one. It's generally considered the greatest Royal Rumble of all time. Royal Rumble 1992. Originally aired January 19th of 1992 out of the Knickerbocker Arena in Albany, New York. 17,000 even in attendance. That was a funny number for like even.
I get excited when I go to Taco Bell and it's a round number. And they got exactly that amount of even people.
I was also surprised that Albany had a 17,000 seat arena.
Cap was 17,500. So
wow.
It was a legit ass almost sellout.
260,000 pay-per-view buys. That's just down from 440 the year prior.
Oh, God.
So like about half the people watched this when it aired and missed maybe the greatest Royal Rumble that ever occurred. Actually, I shouldn't just say that. Dave, what are your thoughts on Royal Rumble 1992 generally?
I had a terrific time rewatching this. It was as good as I remember.
Yeah.
And I had some thoughts about how it should end. And we'll get to it when we get to it.
Yeah, I'm sure there was some that doesn't work for me, brother. Happening there.
I mean, it wasn't even for that. There were a couple things that were off-putting about it. Most notably, him. Secondly, they were telling a entire episode length story.
They were
that, I think they forgot about it at the end. We'll get to it when we get to it. It's got to do with the Royal Rumble match itself, but yeah,
I'm interested. And what your thoughts are there? Because I have some too, but I have a feeling that mine are more generous than yours. I feel like you have some gripes or bugaboos.
I have some bugaboos,
as it were. But like me too on just general enjoyment of this show. This is the best. It just is still, to me, the best Royal Rumble. Royal Rumbles are historically my favorite WWE pay-per-view to watch live, but it's almost only because of the countdown and seeing who's coming out.
Right.
Because the in-ring stuff is usually kind of trash outside of a few fun spots.
Yeah.
And this one, I think partly due to the number of like all-timer level superstars that were in it. Like I felt like it was constant action and it didn't have a bunch of like lulls, and the spots felt like they were actually planned, not just kind of like spitballed or whatever. In before the totality of it felt like more of a match to me than most battle royals, because I'm not a battle royal guy.
Right.
And this, I actually enjoyed the match itself, which I don't know if I really ever have with a Rumble.
Didn't feel like a 1 hour match. That's for goddamn sure.
I don't know.
No.
The thing you mentioned, the story, the entire show long story, I think had a lot to do with that.
Yeah.
But we get to that. So the way that this show kicked off was, in my opinion, the best thing that old prick Vince McMahon ever did was the rundown of all the Undertaker, Randy Macho Man Savage. It's very good. It's Vince doing running down, along with a graphic that pops up of every superstar that's in the Royal Rumble. He's reading off the names. And it's not as like coked up and crazy and over the top as Vince usually is. It's actually just pretty good.
Yeah.
And it's got that theme music too behind it that I love. That is very nostalgia-y.
Dude, it sounds like it was on a cassette tape that was re-recorded over like 5 times.
Yeah.
And also, they showed all 30 guys that are going to be in the Royal Rumble, and Haku had a very low-res photo. It just made me laugh. It's like
this was his last show before leaving for WCW. I believe.
For real?
Yeah.
Oh, wow.
There's a few of those kind of weird ones.
But they don't have surprises in this one. They're like, here's 30
everybody.
guys.
Because they knew. I mean, look, the poster, man. Like, that's what you advertise.
Yeah.
You're like, hey, it's every huge name outside of one guy. From the previous generation, from the current, and from what's upcoming. It's everybody. So we don't need surprises. This is what it is. It's amazing that this show was only one calendar year and a couple of months prior to that WrestleMania that we reviewed, because it's worlds apart as far as star power that this show held.
Yeah.
It did feel kind of funny when they were running through all the names. The two that stood out to me were Nasty Boy Sags, and of course the one that I think you've even mentioned on previous podcast, Skinner.
Skinner, who will be playing Doink the Clown in 2 short years.
Doink would, he'd have to go back in time, but Doink would have been a much more appropriate level superstar. No, he wasn't.
Not yet, right?
I don't think so.
No.
I say that like, oh yeah, no, he wasn't. I have no fucking idea.
Right.
He but like that would have been a more appropriate dude to put in there because almost everybody is a star, or either an aging star at the worst, or like an up and coming star, or just huge star right at that time.
Yep.
So like Skinner and Sags, it was a little funny.
Yeah.
To have them.
But once you find out why Sags is on the show, like you're like, okay, he wasn't even supposed to be here, but they do actually address Sags later in the show. But
it's not even a complaint. It's funny when they're like Ultimate Warrior, or not Ultimate Warrior.
Top guy,
Undertaker, Skinner.
Skinner has a shot.
We had, you know what? There was one more too. The Repo Man, and they gave the Repo Man a pre-match promo.
They gave Repo Man a lot in this pay-per-view. He had some eliminations, and
that dude is a real life badass,
like a real life Repo Man.
He may have become one.
Yeah.
But the way he got his start was he was a bouncer at that Minneapolis bar that the Road Warriors and 3 or 4 other big name historical tough guy wrestlers were bouncers at. It's like the toughest biker bar in Minneapolis area or whatever.
Right.
And a bunch of those guys got recruited by somebody. I forget who it was. It was
we talked about
Mid-South or something guy. But Repo Man, Barry Darsow, was
maybe?
one of those dudes. And he does not look like I could believe Hawk and Animal as, maniac tough guys. Barry Darsow just looks like a kind of a big doughy guy.
Right. No, you're not wrong. They had the goats on commentary for this show too.
I was about to say, our continuing our line of Bobby the Brain shows, but this is the best duo probably ever.
Yeah.
Gorilla and Bobby, they just have incredible chemistry.
Yeah.
It is different watching now, through my adult eyes, because I was just I don't know about you, but I was on this one, I was getting pissed at Gorilla. I was like, leave him alone, man. He just wants this guy to win. And and when I was a kid, I was like, oh, that weasel, F him, and now I'm like, Gorilla, calm down.
Yeah.
It's okay. Bobby, he's kind of stressed out. He's saying he needs a drink and stuff. Let him go. So he totally baby-faced Heenan in this show for me.
Also, the more we're doing these Bobby Heenan episodes, that's a thing he just did.
Yeah, he didn't do the heel thing. He picked guy. He had guys, obviously, the Flair thing forever. Hogan he always hates. In the last show, it's company guy. So he has his stories, but it doesn't necessarily align. He was a cheater, and he acknowledges that he likes cheating as a manager. Taz is currently, it's ain't cheating, you ain't trying kind of thing.
Yeah,
but he doesn't just automatically there's always a word that I can't come up with in every episode of generically. He doesn't generically just say, okay, heel. that's the guy I'm cheering for. Face, this is the guy that I'm gonna like, shit on. He puts over the baby faces like quite a bit on the show. He just like also suggests that perhaps Ric Flair should roll out of the ring and take a powder for a while, or that a nut shot is not a bad thing. Like, that's just this.
So not just being
he doesn't like
not outwardly heel, just he likes what he likes, and he's like, even though the WCW ones you've been looking at too. Like, there's just, he knows his character so damn well that the entire show, he's like preoccupied with what he's concerned about. And then when other things are going on, he's like, he dips in for a minute, but then like he comes right back out. And then the thing that he cares about when it's on screen, it's all he can talk about.
It's like, it is.
And it's like what you would do, like if
you were emotionally invested.
Yeah, and if you're like I felt it like when a team I care about's like in the playoffs or something. It's like I don't care what anything else is in the world right now.
No,
I just care about this. So,
yeah.
No, it was very good. They also right at the top said what happened to Bret Hart a couple nights ago with the Mountie. That was like the first thing they talked about, even though it wasn't the first match.
It was strange.
Yeah.
Did they do the rundown right here with Lord Alfred?
Not yet.
Okay, because that's the thing I want to talk about.
Yeah. So, but we'll do the details later. But they did address Bret Hart losing the Intercontinental title 2 days prior.
Yeah, and so
right at the top of the show, right before the first match.
That's the guy I mentioned. The one big star that's not on this show is Bret Hart.
Yeah.
And do you know the reason?
He had the flu, right?
He was under the impression that his contract had expired.
Yeah.
Because it should have. And he signed a multi-year, huge money deal with WCW.
Oh.
Signed it. WCW was trying to get the Intercontinental title on their programming as retaliation for Flair bringing the big gold belt over to WWF.
Yeah.
And like what Bret Hart says in his book and a couple other sources I read, it's kind of weird how it played out. Like it's worded, but it sounds like some fishy Vince bullshit.
Yeah.
So he signed a contract, but then that contract was eventually voided because Bret realized that because he didn't notify WWF that he was leaving once his contract expired.
Yeah.
It rolled over automatically, which
Right.
I don't think is something contracts are supposed to do.
Nope.
But that's how he ended up staying with the company. He just rolled over on his previous deal, and he lost out on like a big, huge money thing from WCW.
He had the flu.
Yeah.
He had 110-degree flu. I don't know.
104. It was Heenan that had
Oh, excuse me.
112.
That's right. Yeah, everything. It gels.
There's some really interesting that stuff on this show too. I spent a lot of time farting around.
Oh, good.
Even like the first match has got one I think you'll enjoy.
I did not enjoy the duration of this match.
No, I had a similar thought
Jesus
about
Christ.
it. So are we going into the
We're
match?
going right into the match.
Okay, so
Yep.
it's the new foundation. Why it's not the new Hart Foundation, I do not know. I've never understood. They tried to relaunch the Hart Foundation with
I apparently had a timer set
All right.
instead of a stopwatch.
Dave's got a setting on his computer. If ever it senses that I'm about to start talking about Jim the Anvil Neidhart, it immediately sets an alarm off. So Dave,
the Neidville
stop me.
Or the Neidhart alarm, the Neid alarm.
The new foundation is it's instead of Jim the Anvil and Bret, it's Jim the Anvil and Bret's brother. Mm-hmm. It's Owen Hart. They are, instead of wearing pink and black, also an interesting choice, they are dressed like 1990 taxi cabs.
They're dressed like the inside of the Max from Saved by the Bell.
100%. Yeah. It's like checkerboard, black and white, and then like Aladdin pants.
Yeah.
In very like bright neon, like not even pink, not pink though.
No.
It was like blue and green or something. Like just do pink and black.
Yes.
It's a classic combo.
Yeah.
It's very strange.
Right.
By the way, also they announced him Owen Hart as the Rocket Owen Hart at this point in his career. I did read a thing that Vince wanted to put him in a tag team because he thought he was too small to be a singles competitor. Like I know the size thing was always the thing with Vince, but Owen Hart's not a little dude.
No.
He's like not super tall, but he's like a big guy. It's very strange.
Yeah.
And he was, hard hitting enough that he fucking broke Stone Cold's neck.
And he almost killed a couple people.
Yeah, I think we talked about that in an earlier episode.
Yeah.
For a wrestler as awesome as he was
a problem.
It was, it was maybe a little reckless.
Really soured me on Owen Hart a little bit.
Yeah. It's hard for me to feel negative emotions towards the guy because of what happened to him.
Sure.
But
I'll take care of the negative emotions then.
I get what you're saying, though. Like, if it's more than one broken neck, it's like, all right, there's something going on
smoke,
there.
there's fire.
The new foundation, again, I hate that name so much, are facing a tag team that's like on every pay-per-view from 88 through like 93. Although this is a new iteration, the Orient Express.
Yeah.
This time it is Kato and Tanaka. And Kato is under a mask. Mm-hmm. Do you know who Kato is?
He was in Mortal Kombat, right?
Kato.
Oh, that's Kano.
Kato.
Yeah.
Of the Orient Express.
Kato Kalin?
Still is. He's not dead. Canadian wrestler by the name of Paul Diamond, who went on to take over in a callback to last week, take over the role of Max Moon for most of the entirety of the Max Moon, like year and a half or whatever he existed for.
Yeah.
Because Conan had it. I don't know if he ever even wrestled on TV in the gimmick. He only wrestled like one or two matches in the Max Moon gimmick before leaving.
Right.
And then Paul Diamond was just like, I fit into that gimmick. I fit the costume. Can I do it?
Yeah.
So they gave it to him. And then his debut was on the first ever episode of Raw, Monday Night Raw.
Oh, okay.
It was Paul Diamond as Max Moon.
So that was not Conan.
It was not Conan at that point. No, like I said, I tried finding footage and I couldn't locate any even footage of like Conan as Max Moon.
There's no.
But the whole thing was made. There's photos of still photos of him in the gimmick, and then like even with like the extra stuff, like the rocket packet stuff, but of him wrestling, like actually a televised match.
Yeah,
I couldn't find anything.
Well,
and it was
probably for the best.
This dude, it was. Who they're like kind of tacitly implying is a Japanese man under the mask by calling him Kato and putting him in the Orient Express. But I just thought it was funny.
Then nobody cares about you until you put the mask on.
Yeah.
So. Yeah. I found it interesting that the new foundations posed together where they pointed at each other like they were the Night at the Roxbury guys. That made me laugh out loud. And then they made it a point to say that they've been undefeated since forming. They're actually a respectable 6-0. They're like on a several-month winning streak.
Bad.
It's not like when they're like, who is it?
Kenzo Suzuki.
Kenzo Suzuki. He's like, he's undefeated on American soil. It's like, yeah, he debuted like 2 weeks ago.
Dave, I accidentally found something out about Kenzo Suzuki this week.
No.
So I was watching. There's a YouTuber I enjoy who, like his specialty, he does like deep dives into and mostly Japanese. He did like he does a lot of like stuff about when there are shoot fights that break out during a match.
Yeah.
And a lot of it is like in Japan, like all Japan based. He does like an episode on Maeda and Kobashi and like all those guys or whatever. He episode that I was watching yesterday, he was talking about 3 separate incidents where in Japan where trainees like young lions mysteriously died in training.
Yeah.
And one of those young lions was being trained by our guy, Kenzo Suzuki.
Is that why he went to American
and he
soil?
immediately left.
Yeah. For real?
Yeah.
Oh, okay.
He left. There were never any charges brought, but they think that it was left in disgrace because it was him that likely. There's no proof. It was him that likely did the thing. It was a blow to the head, subdural hematoma, like Shibata had, and killed the guy almost immediately.
Right.
And that, like, it was like all 3 of the things that this dude was talking about were subdural hematomas in training. Because I think they like Japan training, they have that crazy culture where they just try to beat everybody until they quit. And then if you don't quit, you make it or whatever. But like it also evidently leads to a bunch of subdural hematomas. After not ever hearing of Kenzo Suzuki, we do a show talking about the dude, and then I'm just watching a random YouTube video where like the guy's like, hey, and Kenzo Suzuki was his name, and he killed the guy, and then
what is with this company and harboring murderers?
Oh yeah, under Vince, it's
it's good shit.
It's his thing. It's whatever. Yeah, he probably thinks they're like powerful men.
Yeah,
like,
well, yes, because powerful men commit such horrific crimes. The match was. I wrote this on. Let's yin yang this.
Okay.
I have good thing and a bad thing simultaneously. This was all tag matches.
Yeah,
the Royal Rumble pre-show was virtually all tag matches, minus the Intercontinental title match, if I'm not mistaken, right? And then
because all the singles guys were in the Rumble,
which is fine, but like it was so weird to see so many different types of showcased they were all very different tag matches.
Yeah.
And so that's the good part. The bad part was I wrote down these are all painfully 90s WWF tag team matches.
Tag team matches booked by the guy that historically and famously hates tag wrestling.
Yeah.
So like they did like this one, they did their best to do actual like ring cutoffs and like some tag stuff, but it's like you said, it's 1992 WWF.
I was entertained to death, but like not by modern standards in the slightest.
No.
Like, and when we get to the matches, we'll get to the matches. But like even this one, I'm like, this was a like kind of neat two different types of matches where the whole first part was a fucking squash match.
Yeah, it was a beatdown.
And then like shenanigans, like
Owen was getting annihilated.
Abruptly changed the match in like a very realistic way. And then
it was a great little weapon spot too.
Great, So what we're talking about? First off, we were talking about the substitutions earlier.
Yeah.
Where wait, you say did I say Jerry Sags? Was Brian Knobbs in it too?
Brian Knobbs was the one that is. I have the real reason why he was out too.
So Marty Jannetty, and they say this during the tag match. We're kind of all over the place here, but during the Orient Express with Mr. Fuji versus the New Foundation, they say. That Marty Jannetty and Brian Knobbs were originally supposed to be in the Royal Rumble, and they are out, and replacing them are Nikolai Volkov and Haku. Give me the dirt on Mr. Knobbs.
From what I could find, the Jannetty thing was just kayfabe. He had just been put through the barbershop window, and they wanted to sell that because it's the biggest thing that had just happened, biggest angle that they have going. That just had happened. So I think...
And the biggest thing they had going was... I didn't know that was 2 weeks prior to this.
Oh yeah, that's why that's kayfabe. Like
the barbershop.
Yeah, that's what I said. Jannetty was I think he was out, in the kayfabe reason they gave was like he wasn't out for like drugs or an injury or anything. I think it really was just kayfabe. They wanted to sell the barbershop window, being that devastating to him that he had to miss the Rumble. Because like you said, it was like 2 weeks prior.
Yeah.
Shawn Michaels is like the freshest heel turn ever in this show, but the other guy was Nasty Boy Knobbs. They said that he had a separated shoulder. The actual reason that he missed this show is because a few nights prior, following a house show in Peoria, he got in a bar fight with 3 fans who stabbed him in the chest 4 times. So he was recovering from stab wounds. So that's why he was not. He may have separated a shoulder also, but the stab wounds were probably more to do with not being able to be at the Rumble than the separated shoulder.
I wonder which of the 3 guys stabbed him twice.
Or if it was just one maniac and the other guys were like, Jerry, relax, Jesus Christ.
He will see how nasty the nasty boy is. Like he's the nasty boy of Peoria.
I mean, it comes back and like wrestles a bunch more. So he's pretty nasty.
Yeah, that's fair.
I'm really coming around on the Nasty Boys.
Oh, I'm around.
Just as like
huge.
After that last match, and then like now I know that Knobbs like returned not that long after he got stabbed a bunch of times in the chest.
Yeah,
like I would retire from all work if I got stabbed 4 times in the chest.
Well, okay, so that's a legitimate reason to not be. I don't know. Is it like how bad do you want to be world champ? Like,
but you're also Nasty Boy Knobbs, and you probably have a pretty good idea that you're not going to be
world champ,
maybe tag champs.
Yeah.
But I think eventually probable tag champs.
Feels like they did at some point. Yeah.
Yeah. No world champ. I don't. You got Hogan, Flair, debuting Sid Justice,
Iron Sheik.
yeah. And by the way, we are not going like off topic here because they talk about all this stuff
During
this
the match.
Like, also, the other thing that they start talking about is Heenan immediately, when the show starts, is selling his desire for Ric Flair, who had been calling himself the real world champ since he debuted 4 months prior because he brought over the big gold belt from WCW. Heenan has like a burning desire for Ric Flair to win this Royal Rumble because the winner of this Rumble is crowned the WWF champion.
Right.
So in this match, Heenan starts planting those seeds of like, Flair's my guy.
From the jump.
Yeah.
And we were saying, like, keeping that arc throughout the show, which is he's so masterful at. So the spot we were mentioning a moment ago, first, like, Marty Jannetty and Jim Neidhart are just, it's like a showcase. Like, hey, look at all the cool shit we can do, up until the point where Owen Hart leans his head out of the ring and Mr. Fuji just clocks him with his cane. And, like, it looked like it hurt. And, like, the Orient...
Were there two separate cane spots?
Yeah.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, the cool one.
Oh, you're right. He did the flip up, the old Mr. Fuji.
That's how they...
It's always funny hearing Fuji talking, like, because it's not on mic, but, like, it's super racist. He's an American guy, and he's doing, like, the ridiculous, I'm not even going to do it. But
it's like an old Disney cartoon.
Yeah,
you're like,
it's
what are you
very
doing?
over the top
1950s
Disney cartoon
Right.
Japanese voice.
And they do a lot of cool old school tag team stuff here. Like Owen Hart tries to get the hot tag to Jim Neidhart a couple times, and the ref doesn't see it.
Yeah.
And like it's legit. By the way, we didn't mention this. The crowd was super hot the whole show.
Yeah.
Like the whole show.
Absolutely.
And it was, and some, like that was baseline.
Like they stayed hot for the Beverly Brothers.
Right. Who, like, we'll get to that.
Yeah.
More of them. But and then like later in the show, when like the big guys came out, they got like I don't even know how to just lob a hot stone cold reaction.
I mean, I understand the crowd too, because if I were there for this, I was 12. This is like, if I were there for this Rumble, I would be like, I can't wait for and everything. This is all awesome too, because I know what's coming. Like I get to see a world champ crowned at the Royal Rumble, so it's got bigger stakes than like ever.
Absolutely.
With all these guys and Ric Flair,
like,
for the first time,
especially in New York.
It was like a new after years and years of being Crockett Promotions, the NWA, WCW, the top guy that was not in WWF.
Yeah,
they got him, and this is like the first big thing he.
Oh, 100%. Like he was in like meandering around for a little while, but
basically cutting promo saying that I'm a real world champ,
and holding up a title that couldn't be seen, because they blacked it out. But you still saw like the rim of it, and you're like, I know what that is.
It's a big gold.
Like I'm a child. I'm like, I know what he's doing.
It's a title belt that's like 4 feet tall.
Yeah,
there's only one of those.
And Ric Flair's like 4 or 5. The turn in the match is, or the other spot we were talking about in the match is, Mr. Fuji holds the cane against the turnbuckles, and Owen Hart gets Irish whipped, and he goes head first into the cane, and you hear it.
It's the best crack sound ever. It's like, pop!
It sounds like a home run bat. Like
I actually wish they would not have showed the replay.
Yeah.
Because they did a slow-mo replay, and it shows that Owen, and it still works, but they show that Owen hit his shoulder.
Yeah.
In real time, it seemed like he hit his head.
Yeah.
And like I would have just left it at that.
It was so cool. And I'm like, oh, why don't people hold shit against the turnbuckle more? Like it's
it's just they tuck the chair in. That's the big one.
Which is fine. Yeah, I guess it serves the same purpose. Gorilla Monsoon had a really good line. He's talking about Jim Neidhart. He's like, Jim Neidhart is like a bull in a china closet. Gorilla Monsoon does not know that China shops is where the bulls are.
I don't know where. I don't know what a china closet is. And what kind of weird sex thing that Gorilla's into?
Could be.
I don't know.
Like how big is the closet he's keeping his china in and to fit a bull in there plus his china?
I wonder if he knows China is in reference to like dishes.
No,
like his idea of a china closet might just be like something totally
abort.
Like I'm going to say something totally out of left field.
And the finish was just basic ass rocket launcher.
Yeah,
which is fun. It's like a Uso splash, but the guy on the bottom actually pretends to do something.
Yeah.
I never got, even as a kid, I'm like, this is a compliment. Like, just let the guy jump higher by himself.
Yeah, like that's what I was thinking here. I was like, Owen can do a bit better splash than if Jim got out of the way here.
Yeah.
It'd be a better splash.
Yeah. Who was that name you just said?
Jim the Anvil. Night.
Oh.
It's not. See it.
It's a Neidhart alarm.
Yeah, it's the Neidhart alarm, but it's supposed to anticipate my Neidhart.
don't want to keep resetting this for such an average bit. I'll bring it back next week.
We'll have to talk about it on our regular Blue Thunderpod this week. If I start talking about Natalia, if your computer is going to react similarly.
Yeah, we'll see. Nope, this is 1992. We're not going to talk about her right now. We are going to talk about
1992.
My God, what a treasure trove of next two segments that my heart filled up. Fucking Lord Alfred Hayes, and then Sean Mooney back to back.
Lord Alfred Hayes.
Oh my God,
I love him because of nostalgia. I have no idea how that man was given the job of talking on air. Every time he is on screen, looks like he is on like the verge, like milliseconds away from a massive anxiety attack.
Yeah.
Like he's like shaking. There's no color in his face. He trips over his words. He does the thing where his throat starts to do this all the time because he's so nervous.
He's Lifestyles of the Rich and Famous. That was popular. So he's like the cultured one.
I think it's just Vince knew one British guy. So but his whole thing is talking, and he's like nervous and awkward though.
Yeah.
Like he's just very clearly scared to be on camera. I love it.
I don't think Vince did a lot of like casting calls for stuff where like if he found one version of what he was looking for, because that comes up again later in the show.
With Jameson?
Yeah. Which that story is just it's humiliating, like that how he hired people. But Lord Alfred Hayes is like, boom, perfect, but like there's like 8 better ones behind him, and it's like, no, I got the one.
Talk, and he's the like there at the time was like their primary sideline guy. Like, he's like can't talk.
He's that kid in grade school that only drank apple juice. Like he just got a weird like
whole vibe.
Like I don't know, he's like scared like a chihuahua.
Yeah,
all the time.
and the way we'll talk about it in a specific one, but the way he words things too, it's like, what? Why would you say it that way? It doesn't like
all that being said, I just said it a second ago. My heart filled.
Oh, me too.
With
Absolutely.
joy when I said I forgot about Lord Alfred Hayes.
12 years old.
And I also forgot about Sean Mooney, which we'll get to after this.
Sean Mooney's good.
Yeah. Oh, he was great. Lord Alfred Hayes just recounted for the second time in the show, and it's right at the beginning of the show. We have now heard about how Bret Hart has lost his Intercontinental title to the Mountie 2 days prior
on like a non-televised house show.
It was a house
kind
show
of thing. They had like footage of it, so they're showing us the footage
because he had the flu.
It was a house show.
He was fluish.
It was because Vince didn't want the IC title showing up on WCW TV, and he had to bide some time before he could do whatever schemy bullshit that he did to Bret.
Right.
To hear, because it was definitely some scam shit.
Have you read his book, Bret Hart's book?
Yeah, it was a while back.
Yeah.
And the thing that I was talking about, it was an excerpt from. He's done a couple, didn't he? At this point,
he's got. I only know of the one.
Because I read this was an excerpt from one of his books, and I read a book.
Yeah.
And this I don't remember being in the book, so I
pretty,
thought there may be 2.
To be fair, it's super dense.
That's true.
Like I read it when it came out, and I got the hitman to sign it. Just saying.
Oh, that's nice.
Yeah. And I panicked when I met him. Because I'm standing in line. I'm like, the fuck do I say to this guy? Like, I've been watching him like my whole life.
I love you so much. You're the best technical wrestler I've ever seen. Oh, my God.
So what I ended up saying was, you're
perfect.
You're the best technical. No, I didn't say that. I'm standing in line and I'm like, hey, because I was like kind of thumbing through it before. And I'm like, this is pretty good. And for some reason I go, did you write this? And he's like, yeah. I go, it's really good. He goes, okay.
That's actually, that sounds funny, and then it is kind of funny. But, like, up until Mick Foley, historically, wrestling biographies were not.
They're all ghostwriters.
They were ghostwriters. Yeah. There's, like, now we got, like, Mox, and Foley did, like, 5 books.
Yeah.
And,
like, I read
so a reasonable question.
I read Shawn Michaels' WWE approved book. By the way, the books that WWE, like, under their umbrella, they're clearly, like, revisionist history.
Oh,
100%.
Like,
I read Shawn Michaels' book, and it was, like, a half the size of Bret Hart's book. And it was just, like, it might as well have been like propaganda for WWE.
That is propaganda.
It mentioned nothing about
was propaganda.
Like if it mentioned like his issues with drugs or whatever, like it was very like
the fact
passing.
that he did all of the drugs that existed in 1992.
Kids just say no, but
or maybe say yes. Become one of the greatest wrestlers of all time. That's a joke. That is a joke.
It's a disclosure.
Full disclosure. Doing as many drugs as Shawn Michaels did in 1992 will kill most human beings and elephants, for that matter.
Yeah. You're not wrong because Homeboy puts them down, but So when I read Bret Hart's book, I'm like, wow, he's just toasting the town.
Yeah.
Like he's getting everybody. I do want to reread it now though because I want to see if this part's in there.
Me too. I got to go back. Now you're
But they have the Lord Alfred Hayes interview, and then they throw it back to Sean.
Lord Alfred Hayes.
Lord Alfred Hayes.
Excuse me, my throat seems to be closing up a little.
On January 17th, Bret Hart lost at the Continental title
to Mountie. Vince, why do you... Maybe that was it. Maybe Vince the bully. Maybe he just is like, make him have another panic attack.
Do it again. Sean Mooney's backstage with the Mountie and Jimmy Hart.
Did we already talk about the actual footage of the match? The Lord Alfred?
You mentioned it in passing, that they got some footage of it.
Did this happen here? Because I did want to talk about one little thing with the.
This is
footage.
where I believe they showed the footage here where Bret Hart's getting like small packages.
Yeah, so they break it down. Like they have the footage basically the whole match because it's a little short like thing and it's all on camera. It's one camera, but they have Lord Alfred narrate the entire thing. We're watching it. We don't need any narration. And we have Lord Alfred going, and then he throws him in for a Irish whip and comes out and gets a victory roll and it's a kick out at 2. And we're watching this as it's happening. Like, why are you talking, Lord Alfred? Just show the footage.
I don't know why this came to mind, but you sound like Winona Ryder at the end of Edward Scissorhands. She's an old lady and she's got that clearly put on old voice where she doesn't know how to do an old voice properly.
I mean, I don't know how to do a British guy having a panic attack.
But it turns out you know how to do a really good old Winona Ryder voice.
Yeah. If that ever, I'm sure that'll come up.
It was perfect.
There's a new Beetlejuice coming out.
Beetlejuice. Where is he? See what I did there? Doesn't work. It's BS. It's a movie. It's magic of movies.
He might be upstairs killing my fucking family right now.
He never killed anybody.
I will.
He just made giant worms eat houses. It was a really weird power.
Well, I don't want my upstairs to get eaten by a giant worm either.
You would have known. We would have felt it. There would have been a tremor.
Ghostly powers. I don't know about that.
Unless it was a tremor. Man, we really are. Sean Mooney's backstage with the Mountie and Jimmy Hart. I noticed too, Jimmy Hart. I don't know who he has dirt on, but that son of a bitch is all over everything we've been watching.
He's everyone's manager. And my note on this too was like, why does the Mountie have a mouthpiece? He's a great promo. There's no reason for him to have.
So there were a couple things. So Jimmy Hart, I wrote
always think of him that way now.
I wrote down what Jimmy. So they're showing for the 18th time. We're saying they showed the Bret Hart thing back from a couple days ago, and then they're talking about the Mountie and Jimmy Hart's like. About Bret Hart. He's like, I guess he's in General Hospital somewhere, and I guess me and the Mountie, I guess we better get him a get well card. But let me tell you something, baby. He's not sick with the flu. You know what he's sick from? He's sick from losing.
But then the Mountie cuts his promo too, which is like...
It was such a good promo. And he brought up a good fucking point. He goes, how come... he said, what's Roddy Piper's win-loss record? Yep. And why does he deserve a title shot?
AEW.
It's like, wow.
Why is he up that high?
And the Mountie should have won by forfeit, but he said he's going to do to Piper what he did to Hart. To Bret Hart, he said he took his pride, integrity, and belt. And to Piper, he said he's going to take his skirt, manhood, and whatever's left. And I just wrote, great fucking promo. That cattle prod was dope. I loved the Mountie as a kid.
Me too. Well, I hated him as a kid, but I was being worked. So I hated him because he was a great heel.
Yeah. Even as a kid, I'm just like, this guy has something.
And that's the dude that Dynamite Kid tried to murder. Which cost Dynamite Kid his job.
Is that why he's holding the cattle prod to keep...
No. Did you ever hear the story? I don't want to break it down with every 2 seconds with another story, but Jacques Rougeau, the Mountie, because Mr. Perfect, remember we were talking about the ribs that Mr. Perfect used to do.
Yeah.
He was doing these ribs to Dynamite Kid for forever.
Yeah.
And then telling Dynamite Kid that it was Jacques Rougeau doing them. So Dynamite Kid tried to kill him. And then he knew Jacques Rougeau knew that Dynamite was gonna again the next time he saw him. And he's like, Dynamite's a legit tough guy. His partner in the Quebecers, was like a real life Golden Gloves boxer. So they set up a hotel room where they put mattresses up on the wall, and he practiced for months, just using it like a heavy bag in hotel to hotel, punching. And then when he came across Dynamite, he tried to, stand up for himself, and he hit him right on the jaw. and Dynamite did not go down. Beat the hell out of Shocker Joe, but that cost Dynamite his job.
Can you imagine Lord Alfred Hayes calling that one?
Oh no, that little British angry man is bleeding.
Practiced for months. He's practiced for months, and his punches are ineffective.
So humiliating.
Oh, no. I'm the Kingsbury rules. Dynamite kids now champion of the world. Oh, that's for you.
Lord.
But yeah, the Mountie, God damn it, what a great promo.
Yeah.
I forgot how much I loved him. And then
the Brett thing, they like the lie was a little bigger than it needed to. 104 is like,
yeah, your brain's starting to melt.
Yeah, you're losing brain cells because 104 is like you need to be in an ice bath or else you're gonna die in minutes.
Yeah. Well, 104 degree fever. He forgot about his other family members and became a single star. After this segment with the Mountie and Sean Mooney, they go to Mean Gene Okerlund with Roddy Piper.
And another great promo.
Yeah, totally different. Like at first I'm listening to it and I'm like, I don't know if Roddy Piper's as good as he is cracked up to be promo wise.
He has a very weird, unique.
Then he kept the more he talked, the more I'm like, oh, this fucking guy can talk people into a building. He calls the Mountie one of the original Village people. Oh yeah, that's another thing too. A lot of subtle gay humor in this show.
Lots of super dirty jokes that I absolutely missed when I was a kid. Like I wonder if my dad was like when I'm watching this stuff when I was 12. I got this pay-per-view at my house. My dad was right there. I wonder if he was paying enough attention to be like, like that, knowing it went over my head,
right?
Because what you were referencing is Piper makes a wet dream, joke here,
totally. And like later when the Bushwhackers call the Beverly Brothers the Beverly Sisters, like it's just a lot of like, like I don't know. I think I made my point. Piper says the Mountie says he's going to take my integrity, and he goes, "That's like Jacques Cousteau trying to find dry spot in the ocean. I ain't got no integrity."
That's great.
He's going to take Roddy Piper's manhood, and he said, "I come here to fight. I don't know what you come here to do." Again, the gay humor.
Yeah.
He said, "I come," and then this is when. This is the through line through the pay-per-view that I wish they went with. Now that I've seen it with the benefit of hindsight, like, history is history, and Flair cuts one of the greatest promos of all time.
Yeah.
This was Roddy Piper's pay-per-view.
Because he's the first guy to do double duty.
Not only do double duty, but, like, it was like this Cinderella thing. Like, he had a title match after 2 days.
He had never won a title in WWF before.
Never won a single title, let alone a tag title.
Me when they said that.
Right? And, like, he's super popular, and he's got the opportunity to do something magnificent on this pay-per-view. And they're not like, they don't just say it once.
No, Gorilla's hammering
They
it.
breadcrumb it through the entire thing. And just the way it ended, we'll get to how it ended.
But I think if we were watching it live, that's the 1% doubt thing.
Yeah.
That's like when we're watching a pay-per-view currently, it makes you like, oh, is Roddy going to win this? Because they're really pushing Roddy here too. And then it makes you believe. So then you don't know, and then it's a surprise.
And then if happens. It would have been dope if they had a little bit of a chase after that.
Yeah,
but I mean, the consolation prize was an awesome Intercontinental title match at WrestleMania 8 with Bret Hart, right? Like he did okay, but
that might be my favorite Roddy match ever. So
is there a second?
Yes, but it's like stuff that is nerdy stuff. It's like Portland, like grainy footage kind of stuff.
Yeah.
Like.
Let's say major market stuff.
Yes.
So but he said, I come here to win 2 titles. I can't do that until I win the first one. And then like you said, he's like, I think you've been dreaming. I think it's been all wet too.
It's a weird thing about Roddy Piper too is that he was a heel. I know for a fact because like his biography too, and like I watched the documentary about the A&E one. He was a heel for like 99% of his career.
Yeah.
Every time I go back and watch one of these WWE things, he's a babyface.
Yeah,
and most of my memories of him are like the Morton Downey Jr. thing. Like I remember that very vividly. He's a babyface there. Like
I have zero recollection of him being a heel.
Me neither. And he was. You know what? The only time I remember him being a heel, the cartoon. The Saturday morning cartoon. You're probably too young for it even because I was pretty young when it aired originally.
I remember Pro Stars. Remember it was like Bo Jackson, Wayne Gretzky, and Michael Jordan?
Along those lines, and the animation was similar. But like the bad guys, the heels, Roddy was the main one.
Well, wasn't he was like the main villain in WrestleMania 1 or 2 or something like that?
Yeah.
Admittedly,
against Mr. T.
I've never seen the first 3 WrestleManias.
You can skip the first 2.
I don't want to.
They are almost impossible to get through.
Yeah, I just
spoiler, we're ne're never doing the first 2 WrestleManias because I just don't want to watch them.
Unless this video gets 10,000 likes.
Yeah.
We're a ways from that. But Yeah, the match was good. So here, this is another anomaly about this. Like, the IC title match and, like, the Legion of Doom match, way shorter than the Bushwhackers match and the New Foundation
exactly,
match.
Which, feels like those should be swapped.
Yeah, but, like, also, too, Get Out, which I kind of loved.
Yeah.
The IC title match, the Mountie with Jimmy Hart versus Roddy Piper, was 5 minutes, 21 seconds.
Yeah. Good match, too. Like,
yeah.
Because it was so short, it was boom, 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 boom kind of stuff.
Yeah. And the crowd loved Piper. Anything he did.
I remember that, like, this match triggered a memory in me that I like was dormant or something.
Yeah.
Because I remember while watching it, this used to confuse and piss me off when I was a kid.
Yeah.
And it never got explained. Piper wins with a sleeper, which is his finish. At this time, Heenan, as always would happen on these shows in like the early '90s, late '80s, said, "Oh, that's a choke," and Gorilla, "No, it's a sleeper." What the fuck is the difference?
There is none.
So, like, but they always differentiate. They always said, that's an illegal choke.
Yeah.
No, that's a sleeper.
Yeah.
Well, the sleeper is you're putting your arm across the guy's artery, which is choking them.
But they also never do it like, if you like, now that, again, we have mixed martial arts to watch for references. Like, these were some super ineffective moves.
Yeah. Like, you go back and watch that like the Shibata match that we just saw, the sleeper that he puts on. It looks like he's trying to kill him.
Yeah.
Like, he's actually got the,
he's
the
cinching
right
it
grip,
incorrectly.
And he's pulling the arm up and stuff. Like,
where his elbow is supposed to, or like the crook of his elbow is supposed to be. But, it was, and he went down quick.
Yeah, he did.
So, like, the Mountie.
the Mountie's character is kind of a pussy.
Yeah.
Like, he's okay.
Well, that's why he's got his stick, which, by the way, is called the Shocker. I wrote shock stick, and then I wrote in parentheses, they're calling it the Shocker.
Did Mounties? So the Shocker probably wasn't a thing, pop culture thing in '92. But
you mean the Marvel villain, right?
Yeah, that's his
good
logo,
guy.
right?
That's it. New Shocker.
New. Did the Royal Canadian Mounted Police carry sticks that you could electrocute people with?
So I don't know, but I was thinking that too. And two reasons I came up with they probably shouldn't is they're riding live animals. And if that thing juts against a horse, according to cartoons, you're just riding into the sunset forever. I mean, they just don't stop running.
I saw a horse during a hayride when I was a kid, and it was a Clydesdale, stomp on a lady's chest, and it wasn't pretty. So, I think if you're shocked...
it would just stomp twice as hard.
Probably.
God.
Yeah.
And also, too, like, nope. That second point is super ignorant. I was going to say, there's a lot of snow in Canada. Like, you don't want it around all that water. Well, like, we have snow here.
You're going for something, though.
Yeah, we live in Chicago.
But it wouldn't matter, though, because the Mountie was not allowed to portray the Mountie in Canada.
Why?
The Canadian government said that it is illegal to impersonate an officer. So they didn't like him making a fool of what their Royal Mounted Police was.
Sure.
So when he would perform in Canada, he would perform as Jacques Rougeau, the Quebecer, like as a tweener kind of guy.
That's fine. That's fine.
It's pretty funny.
Did you hear the sound it made? So, like, after the match,
like a big crazy weird.
It sounded like a buzzer on The Price is Right or something. A lot of shenanigans in the match. We've talked about it enough, but enjoyable. Roddy Piper matches are fucking fun, dude, because he looks like he doesn't know
how to wrestle.
Yeah.
He looks like a maniac that just was like it was like open mic night. Bonesaw was asking for somebody to come in. I don't give a shit. He's drunk. Let's do it. And then he won the match. So he's like, I'll just keep doing it, I guess.
He gets clotheslined at one point or hit or something, and he bumps in the opposite direction I thought he would.
Absolutely.
Like he goes to the right when he should go back. It's fucking wild.
Very CM Punk adjacent. Or I should say CM Punk is like the intentional awkwardness that CM Punk does in his matches. Watching this now, it's like, oh, he's doing Roddy Piper.
He mentions them ad nauseum. So
my favorite feud of all time is the dog collar MJF. And that's all Piper. They're talking about Piper.
They teed it up. We said Piper in Portland, shit like that. We go back to the frigid Chihuahua, Lord Alfred Hayes, and he's backstage.
I have to talk again.
He's backstage with Hulk Hogan. They did this a couple times where they said, "I'm backstage. This is a Coliseum home video exclusive."
Yeah, they mentioned
which was cool.
The Coliseum home video exclusive being a thing about 6 times in this song.
More heartwarming.
100%.
Oh boy, did it fill my heart. And Lord Alfred Hayes is just...
He barges into a restroom,
in the
by
bathroom,
the way.
yeah.
Like, it's not a locker room. It is very clearly just like Hogan was taking a shit.
Yeah, washing his hands. And he basically just says, Hogan says to Lord Alfred Hayes, no one is his friend in the ring when it comes time for the Royal Rumble, including his fans and Lord Alfred Hayes.
Yeah.
By the way, biggest babyface in the company. He's threatening a guy half his fucking height.
Threatening, talking shit about the president of the company, like a heel would absolutely do.
Yeah.
Also, like, weirdly super subdued. Like, this era should have been like the brother, I'm gonna, like, it's just shortly after Mega Powers kind of.
Yeah.
And he's like, I don't know if he's just being a little bitch because he knew he wasn't going to walk away with the title.
Right.
But this is like the most phoned in promo I've ever seen from Hogan.
Yeah.
He was just like, brother.
Well, Coliseum
Jack
Home
Tunney
Video did not
screws
write
me
checks
over.
to the degree that would excite him.
That's when he brings up Coliseum, he says it in a way like, you know what? I wouldn't even be doing this, Lord Alfred, but like Coliseum, it's for them. So basically I'm getting paid to talk to you right now.
Like they
okay,
paid him
babyface.
They paid him in like club sandwiches or something, and it wasn't good enough. He's like, I guess I'll take the sandwich, but you're not getting any of the
He did,
Hulk
but he
hype.
does not sound like he gives a shit about this match.
Which is different. But yeah, that's a great point. Now that you mentioned it, I didn't think about it. In this era, especially, is when he was sweating just from like opening his eyeballs.
Absolutely.
Yeah. Mean Gene's backstage with the Bushwhackers and Jameson, which is it's a guy, it's a character.
Is an improv guy.
So Jameson he's doing his best, like Jerry Lewis.
Vaguely anti-Semitic, right? I wasn't
it's a Nutty Professor character.
Yeah,
He's
yeah,
doing
okay.
the nerdy Jameson, or the nerdy, Jerry Lewis from Nutty Professor. And it's being real dorky. I could see how you can think it's anti-Semitic. There were some vibes there.
Like maybe that's because some of those Nutty Professor characters and stuff, and Jerry Lewis, famously Jewish, maybe that can, in my
Famously
head.
Jewish.
He's like the Jewish National Hall of Fame and stuff, I think. As is MJF, by the way.
Oh, that's fun.
Much love.
That's fun.
To my guy. Can't wait for him to come back.
Piper in Portland. But the Jameson guy's weird. You were about to tell the origin story?
So Vince saw this dude performing at I think it was just a regular improv show, and he was like, that little dork, let's hire him. So he just hired him, made him a manager, and then he was with the company for 3 years.
Really?
Yeah. I was shocked by that. Also, the guy that called the first Monday Night Raw with Vince was a radio host, like a shock jock guy. Same story. Vince was at some kind of a charity thing, and this guy did a stand-up set.
Right.
And that Vince was like, oh, because he did some like testicle humor or whatever.
Yeah.
So Vince loved it. So he on the spot hired him to be his broadcast partner for the first ever episode of Raw.
Oh.
The guy was dog shit at it. He's never broadcast anything like that in his life.
Yeah.
And he didn't care or know anything about wrestling.
I mean, Vince doesn't have a great track record of bringing on new guys.
I'm so glad that because he's a monster, I can now stop hearing people tell me that, but you got to say he's a genius. No, he was just a ruthless businessman who put all of his competition out of business with terrible practices.
He just had
was a terrible booker.
He had more
always.
money than I mean, I don't.
Good stuff happened, in spite of him.
Let's avoid him because I want to just talk about how much I hate him now. But yeah, so the Bushwhackers have this new guy, Jameson. Luke Bushwhacker? Is that their last name?
I assume so.
The whole time I'm thinking these guys used to be the sheep herders and they were just having death matches.
Yeah.
And
I watched one.
They're
while we were watching this. It was like
absolutely
the
vicious.
Two opponents were just covered from head to toe in
and
blood.
They just make them. They make them like these kids. Like the arm thing we've all seen, right? And
they lick children as they come out to the ring.
They're
they literally lick children. Probably wouldn't fly these days.
So Luke does. I don't remember what he sounds like, but Luke Bushwhacker. I'm just going to assume it's her last name. He says, "I've never been excited in all my life. Beverly Sisters, this is your final fling. And Genius, ha 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 ha. We have a surprise for you, don't we, cousin Butch?" And he goes, "Ooh, yeah." And that surprise is, in fact, the millions and millions of all our bushwhackaroos, Mean Gene, all of our bushwhackaroos, Mean Gene. And when we get finished with those Beverly Sisters and the Genius, we're going to feed them all. We're going to feed them to our mate, Bloody Jameson. And the whole time, Jameson's eating his tie.
Yeah. Yeah, so like,
What the
it's not just nerdy. He's like got problems.
It's like he had a lobotomy.
Yeah, yes.
And he just eats his...
He's just like 10 seconds before this
Doesn't he have
aired,
socks
had a
stuck
major
to him?
head injury
Yeah.
happen or something. Yeah, I don't. So, but you said so. We get 2 Attitude Eras. We got a millions and millions in this,
Yeah.
and then later on we get it from Ric Flair. That's the bottom line.
I wrote that.
So
I put that in underline.
Both. I missed the millions and millions though.
Yeah.
That's good. It would be pretty funny if the Bushwhackers just like decided in this match to go back to their roots and work a sheepherders match, like murdered the unsuspecting Beverly Brothers.
Yeah.
That would have been fun.
Well,
probably wouldn't have worked for WWF.
The Beverly Brothers could. So the next match is the Beverly Brothers, Bo and Blake Beverly.
Couple of blonde, barrel-chested boys.
I like
That's
that.
how much more alliteration can we get? Bo and Blake Beverly, blonde, barrel-chested boys.
Blonde.
Boy, they got a bad
Baby. Bodied. No, they're not baby bodied.
Yeah.
I think that's good what you did. I'm nervous now. I'm no good with alliteration.
Yeah,
on
I'm
the
not
fly.
either. I probably shouldn't open that can of worms, actually.
I'm gonna go home and write a big one for tomorrow. But the Beverly Brothers, Bo and Blake, with the Genius versus the Bushwhackers with
Genius,
Jameson.
Lanny
Now-
Poffo, Macho Man's brother.
And the
Very strange.
Just a reminder: the Intercontinental Title match was 5 minutes and 21 seconds.
Yes.
This thrown together, who gives a shit, was
Bad
14
match.
minutes and 57
Bad match.
seconds. The Genius does his usual shtick where he opens by reading a poem.
Yeah.
He says, "Rejoice in all the splendor of the brother."
Rejoice was a weird voice.
Rejoice in all the.
Rejoice.
Oh, he sounds like Alan Rickman. Rejoice in all the splendor
Yeah,
of the
yeah, that's
brothers
good.
Beverly, as they fulfill my genius master plan, and I, the genius, must defile that waste of human tissue, that Jameson who calls himself a man. Potter.
You're definitely more menacing than Genius was in this promo.
Well, I'm not wearing a mortarboard. So,
Yeah, that's true.
Which should have made him like way less like way more insane. Like
Yeah.
this guy just walks around
Yeah,
graduating all the time.
why are you wearing that shit everywhere?
Yeah. Heenan said a great line. He's talking about Jameis. He goes, "Who dresses him? The state?"
Ian is
I
amazing.
loved it.
I can't like the Beverly Brothers because of the thing I texted you about, but
It's so good.
So the Beverly Brothers had a finisher called the Shaker Heights Spike, where the one Beverly brother would throw a guy, Irish whip off the ropes. He'd pick him up like kind of like a 3D, like he was going to 3D him, except he would just like release the guy, so the opponent, so he would fly over and then be coming down head first, and the other Beverly brother would just grab them and then
By
spike
the
them
fucking head.
by the head into the mat.
Yeah.
Most dangerous move I've ever seen. Like, there's not even a close whatever Japan, nothing.
No.
This is the most dangerous move I've
It's
ever
like
seen.
a tag team Steiner's screwdriver.
A Steiner screwdriver is like a small package compared to this thing.
Yeah.
Like I never saw a screwdriver that landed with the impact that I've
No.
seen these guys. The reason I hate the Beverly Brothers and also again Vince, they only ever did this move when they were wrestling jobbers that were not employed by the company.
Yeah.
That the company didn't care if
Yeah,
they
that's
got
a good
hurt.
point. You never saw it.
They were not allowed against. So they knew how dangerous it was because
Yeah.
they wouldn't let them do it to contracted talent.
Yeah.
They'd only let them do it, potentially killing or paralyzing these poor guys that are just trying to get on a show or whatever, make a buck. So really dark and evil shit there.
Yeah.
So I have to always cheer against the Beverly Brothers whenever.
It's a dope finisher.
It's it's amazing.
Since no one would take it.
But you can't do it. Like it'd be a dope finisher to cut somebody's head off with a samurai sword too. But you can't do that to people.
They only cut male appendages off with samurai swards in this company.
Choppy,
Choppy,
pee-pee.
UPP. The match was a 90s ass
That was
WWF tag team
real. I remember even as a kid, I was like, "Oh, Bushwhackers, this is gonna be fucking boring." I probably didn't say fucking. My dad would have been upset. So
You grew up Irish.
Yeah.
So they do. I did laugh every time the ring cleared. They would stomp around the ring doing their pose,
thing,
but like back to back, like Breakfast Club style, where they're just like right up on each other, in circles around the referee. They did it a couple
lick
times.
Each other. They lick, no joke, licking children.
Yeah,
like front row, licking their faces.
Yeah,
and their parents were like, "Oh, great! This is wonderful. We should definitely be doing this. This like scary looking man." But what is the? I know what they're. But is that supposed to be a thing? Like, I have no idea.
I don't know. Who gives a shit? It's fun.
I guess, it's wrestling. So
you know what?
Come up with something and stick to it.
Like the You Can't See Me. If you start doing the Bushwhacker thing around a certain crowd, you can tell how old everybody is immediately.
Yes.
Like who grew up watching wrestling. Because you'll get it right back.
I'll start doing it.
Yeah. If you're in a grocery store and you start doing this, you're going to see grown men perk up and go, oh, that's the Bushwhackers. There was a...
I do like the current... like watching it now. I like the Bushwhackers like commitment to their bit.
Yeah.
I'm big on that always.
Yeah.
And like I hated them when I was a kid, but now I'm like, you know what? They're doing their thing. Right. They're really going for it. So,
also, too, in this pay-per-view, not so much I guess in the first match as well. In all the tag matches, I forgot how differentiated every tag team was.
Yeah.
Where take the Bushwhackers and the Beverly Brothers, ooh, like you have like a blue blood,
it was like a true gimmick for every one of them.
Everyone, but I don't know, felt like everyone was different. And everyone had different moves, and everyone had different characters, and like you just said, everybody committed to their bits.
I mean, that's the thing that when they talked about back then, and now today we have a similar kind of situation where other promotions would refer to WWF as like the superhero cartoon promotion,
1000%.
In a good way though. It works to do a cartoonish gimmick for every tag team.
Yes,
that was their thing.
Yes,
like you could go watch WCW if you wanted to see, the hard-hitting Ron Simmons match, but it's cool on the cartoon show that they had very different, very defined.
Also, too, WWF sold way more toys than WCW did.
Yeah,
probably
again,
for this exact exact reason.
Absolutely,
because they were marketing to children. It was clear as fucking day. Like they had the wrestling. They were kind of very intelligent around this time, where they were merging the two, because it's all kids. The crowd's all kids. Yeah. But then you have
I mean, I was 12.
Yeah.
I was what? I owned all the crap that they were selling.
Absolutely. And then but you had the most murderer's row Royal Rumble ever.
Yeah.
And kudos to them for figuring this out. I'm not giving any more credit to the match. The match was not.
It was dog shit.
It was a 90s ass dog.
Hated it. I just kept sneering at the screen because I couldn't stop thinking about the Beverly Brothers ruining careers of independent wrestlers.
What was it called? The Shaker Heights Spike?
The Shaker Heights Spike.
Right.
It's called a spike. That is it's the slang word that people use for your move is dangerous. You're spiking a guy. It's insane that they thought that was okay to do to anyone.
They named the move was named after the threat.
Yeah, yes, exactly.
It's like calling the it's like if Seth Rollins called his buckle bomb the definite stinger.
Yeah, yeah.
It's going to happen at some point.
Bobby Heenan had another line I enjoyed here. He always used to talk shit about the Bushwhackers nonstop because they looked like I could smell their body odor through my TV.
Yeah.
And Heenan was always disgusted by them. He says, well, the one thing that is always guaranteed, win, lose, or draw when you face the Bushwhackers, you have to have everything you're wearing fumigated.
Well, Luke was biting butts. He did that a bunch of times. He was biting.
It's funny. They went from biting eyelids off of people when they were the sheep herders to biting butts.
Yeah. And then the kids would woo, and then they would do their march right away, or this is highbrow theater.
Yeah.
Heenan said the Bushwhackers are proof that the Three Stooges had children.
Yeah.
That made me laugh too.
Good. I believe it was during this match that Heenan and Gorilla started going at it about Gorilla said that hit him right in the occipital protuberance. and Heenan's like, what the hell are you talking about? It was his back or something. I don't even know what the occipital protuberance was. It was a reference to a shoulder.
Yeah.
But Heenan's like, just say the shoulder.
Yeah.
Nobody knows what the hell you're talking about when you say occipital protuberance. And he had a good point.
Yeah.
Because nobody knows what that means.
That's funny though.
I think it's very funny, but I think I think when Heenan repeated it back, he called it a occipital pernumbrance, which is even better.
It's even better, yeah. At some point, the Genius goes to the to slap Jameson for no reason.
Yeah,
there was no aside from the fact he felt like doing it.
He was already having problems. They didn't need to assault him any further.
No, not at all. At one point, and this is where the Bushwhackers did not have the in-between stuff that we feel is required for good wrestling. They
didn't have the moves or the in-between the moves.
So the move that they do, their finisher is a battering ram. So Butch, the one with more teeth, grabs Luke Luke bends over and he puts his head underneath Butch's arm, and they run together and they use Luke's head as a battering ram.
Which is way slower than it would be if it was just a headbutt.
Yeah,
a running headbutt.
100%. But at some point, Butch takes one of the Beverly Brothers and he does the battering ram into the other Beverly brother and doesn't go for a pin. And I'm like, why are you going for?
Yeah.
And I'm giving way too much credit to a fucking Bushwhackers match.
You also were like, end this fucking match because it's trash.
Almost 15 goddamn minutes. But the finish does have Butch gets tripped up. Beverly Brothers do the weakest fucking double axe handle finisher.
With a double axe handle. See, they can't use their more murderous than a Gonzo bomb by a million times finisher. So what do they pivot to?
Yeah,
a double axe handle.
Yeah,
seriously,
it was terrible. And it was it. It was the match ended with.
People cheer for the Bushwhackers though.
They loved them.
And I was bored to tears here.
Yeah. I was oddly entertained by this match just because I'm like, how much more stupid can
their
this get?
Shtick, like I said, their shtick, I was like, it's very appreciate that they're sticking this hard to it. And it's funny to me that they were deathmatch guys.
Yeah.
And I enjoy it. But 15 minutes is far too long.
It was long, yeah.
For the Beverly Brothers.
Right.
I think it's Luke that's still kicking and doing the...
Butch had the crutches in the Hall of Fame, so
Luke is doing, he was just there for WrestleMania weekend. He does all the
fuck yeah.
What do you call it? WrestleCons.
Yeah. After the match, the Bushwhackers give both of the Beverly Brothers the aforementioned battering ram. And then the Genius gets kicked in the shin by Jameson, and then he gets kicked in the back after a very long setup. Which no adult man would wait that long to get kicked by a nerd with...
Jameson is not a wrestler, though. So
no, Jameson is a patient of whatever hospital was in Cuckoo's Nest.
Real life, I learned this on IMDb. Still a working comic, evidently.
Is he still dressing like that?
I have no idea. Anything, I have no follow-up.
You think that was
beyond he's still a working... And that might have been a trivia piece that was put up 15 years ago. But
if you had to guess, you think that's still the peak of his career? It's like how Biff from...
I'm a pretty big stand-up guy.
Yeah.
And I've never seen him, so...
Like how Biff from Back to the Future, his whole shtick when he does stand-up is just Back to the Future stuff.
Yeah.
But why wouldn't it be?
It has to be.
Yeah.
I mean, it's glory day. Oh, you're reliving your glory. I think it's one of the greatest film franchises of all time.
Yeah.
It's okay to relive
I never
those
got
glory
where
days.
people are like, oh, you haven't done anything recent. It's like, bitch, I was Biff.
Yeah,
I don't have to do anything else. Bitch, I was, what's this asshole's name? Seamus? Jameson.
Spelled weirdly, too. Not spelled like the drink.
No?
Jamisine or something is multiple I's, no E's, and not an O where there should be an O.
Multiple boos from me too.
Yes,
backstage,
absolutely.
Mean Gene is with the Legion of Doom.
What a rush!
Hawk gave such a good promo.
He's one of the greatest of all time.
They go, well,
I can't really.
Well. It's like way down, and you're like, well, Mean Gene.
He's like a fucking demon. He is a demon from hell. He's so scary.
He's good. What a great fucking tag team.
Yeah.
Just big motherfuckers.
I mean, really, probably the greatest of all time. I always say Young Bucks.
No, it's LOD.
I love the Young Bucks, but LOD.
Or the Road Warriors.
Yeah. Although I shouldn't be so bitchy about that because they did call themselves the Legion of Doom Road Warriors.
They always mention that. I remember as a kid being like, why do they keep calling themselves the Road Warriors? Also, I wasn't a comic book guy. I didn't realize that the Legion of Doom was
a bunch of bad guys.
Yeah. I'm just gonna say it. I got so excited talking about Jameson that I knocked the microphones out of their USB.
Jameson is a pretty exciting person.
We've talked about a lot. I've never destroyed equipment talking about anything.
We got heated about a number of things AEW related.
Yeah.
Nothing was ever knocked down.
No.
Jameson evidently is the heat magnet.
He's who'd have thunk. We were about to talk about me and Gene interviewing LOD in the back and Hawk just being and how great the LOD were and Road Warriors, whatever you want to call them. But says, Mean Gene, you know what makes us sick besides everything?
I love that so much. Besides everything,
typhoon and earthquake, they make us real sick. You see, they want to throw their weight around. Well, that's okay. We want to throw your weight around too.
Wonderful.
And when we're done with you and we still got the belts, your tongues will be hanging out like dead deers.
I absolutely understand why they got the biggest pops of any tag team ever. I mean, they're awesome in the ring and stuff too. But like, Jesus Christ, that's and all the Hawks, even like the weird ones that we have mentioned in the past, they're all like he pulls them off flawlessly.
Yeah,
which has got to be hard to do when you're doing that voice. Like he never stumbles, nothing.
I wonder what his normal speaking voice is. It's like,
actually,
can I get a pound of cheese? Like he's at the deli.
It is. That'd be something.
He's dressed like World Warrior Hawk.
It is just, it's a little gravelly. I saw a documentary. I think it's the thing where I learned about all the Minnesota stuff I was talking about with Barry Darso earlier.
Oh, yeah.
It might have been Dark Side of the Ring or something. But I heard him talking. He has an intimidating sounding real voice too, but it's not like that level.
I mean, the reverse mohawk
demon
helps
hell
too.
spawn.
Yeah.
Like,
so they're Legion of Doom's cutting a promo as tag team champions because they're about to defend their tag team titles against the Natural Disasters with Jimmy fucking Hart
again.
One more time, Jimmy Hart. 9 minutes 24 seconds, so about half the length of the Beverly Brothers Bushwhackers match.
And this is Natural Disasters, and again, the Road Warriors, Legion of Doom.
Yeah.
Like, Natural Disasters, excellent, but like high on the card also for like a couple of big giant guys. And then LOD's LOD, right?
Yeah. Like legends. This is a legendary tag team match.
Like Demolition had to retire because they got the real ones.
Yeah.
Like,
you become wasn't the Repo Man?
That's why he's the Repo Man because of Hawk and Animal.
I'm gonna fall from grace. So they advertise they're like the Natural Disasters collectively weigh 852 pounds. Legion of Doom are 586 pounds. It's a 266 pound difference. And if you look at,
I believe the Natural Disasters are that big too.
Oh yeah, four and a quarter
like
a piece.
6'6", 6'7",
They're big boys,
and like big,
big boys. But then LOD, they're 275 each. They're big motherfuckers too.
They are, and they're like legit 275
yeah,
each.
Like this is a hoss ass match,
strong as hell.
Also, too good work. Like the first thing Earthquake does is he throws a very good drop kick.
Yeah,
it gets
there is a compilation video of John Tenta's standing drop kicks.
Oh,
he did them in Japan all the time.
I see.
Do you know his history?
He's the shark in the Dungeon of Doom.
He started as, he's a Canadian guy, went to Japan and was a sumo wrestler.
Yeah.
For like a year where he was undefeated.
Yes.
And then so like he became a pro wrestler there first and he would do all that kind of stuff.
Right.
Then coming to WWF, Vince didn't want his big guys doing too much of that stuff. So they would just let him do stuff like miss a drop kick here and there. But he was able to do all kinds of stuff like that.
I never saw that.
He was undefeated as a sumo wrestler. So like great athlete. Tugboat had an incredible feat of strength too. When he caught Animal, with no problem,
like a baby.
Midair, like a baby.
Yeah.
I will say at the very beginning of this match, Gorilla Monsoon gave away the ghost on how it was finishing because for no reason he's like, just a reminder that the title can't change hands. Besides, it's got to be a pinfall or a submission. Countouts are not a title change.
And Vince is
they
in his
never
ear.
say that before.
Vince McMahon's in his ear, like, nice job, pal. I think no one's gonna be any wiser.
Like, why did you mention that?
Yeah. But maybe back then, like, we were just like...
They're also the Natural Disasters reaction after the match. I'm like, is it a new thing or something?
I can't wait to get... So the match is fun. Animal runs the ropes at 900 miles an hour.
Yeah, same thing. I'm like, Takeshita. I see Takeshita's here running a billion or Braun Breaker.
Yeah.
He looks more like Braun Breaker.
Yeah.
But just like way faster than a man his size should be able to hit those ropes.
It was really cool.
Yes, it was.
And then the finish is...
I said Bullet Train, actually.
Yeah. Unless there were more spots in the match.
Those were the big ones. It was the Bullet Train rope bounce, the catching, Typhoon catching Animal, and it was mostly, like you said, it wasn't very long, and then it was like slugfest kind of thing.
Yeah. Would I have loved to see the Doomsday device on this? On these two?
Christ, yeah.
Wow, that would have... They might have died.
Yeah.
Like, I don't know how, like... I
don't know, like,
if you're
how
that
do
big...
you get those guys up on... Yeah. Maybe, who knows? Like,
I don't know.
They're pretty strong.
It was the era of drink your milk and eat your vitamins. So,
true.
So the finish is all four guys are outside of the ring, and Earl Hebner, I believe, is the ref, or
Yes.
Dave Hebner, one of the Hebners.
It's one of them.
He's feverishly counting. Like if you stop and pay attention, he's like 6, 7,
Yeah, way
8.
faster than any ref ever.
Way
counts.
faster. The natural disasters body slam each member of the Legion of Doom, or maybe at least, or the legal one, I should say.
Yeah.
And because then when the bell rings, because it's a DQ, the one of the whoever the Hebner is,
count out.
What did I say? DQ. I'm sorry. Yeah, it's a count out, and then like he's like, oh, the belts can't change. They say like the winners of the match, the natural disasters. And these guys are celebrating in the ring with Jimmy Hart, who has for sure been there for a second, that they just won the tag titles.
Yeah,
and they're like
confused
celebrating
by this. Was this the first time that I could have sworn in the 80s it was like you couldn't win the belt by DQ or count out.
I don't remember there ever being a time when it was okay. Because why wouldn't you just win by count out all the time?
Not in WWF, at least. Like I've seen it in other promotions.
Just get some zip ties and tie him to like way down the ramp. And like I'm champion now.
Yes, or like you have your buddy come out and hit you in the head.
Yeah,
DQ, I'm the champ.
Just bear hug him real hard. Like just don't let him up. But then LOD they get a chair, and Earthquake eats a tough chair shot to the face.
Only one real tough one though. They were like the first. I was shocked the first couple of chair shots because it's LOD. You know, you think they're going to be doing like unsafe Undertaker chair shots, but they were like pretty like little boops. And then the last one, I was like, oh goddamn.
Yeah. Well, unlike the Undertaker, these two are actually good workers.
Yeah.
And then LOD's music plays and they celebrate in the ring with the titles, which I'm like, okay,
yeah,
got to send the people home happy. That I get why they did it. What I do not get is after the match, right away, Sean Mooney, love Sean Mooney, is backstage and he's waiting for the natural disaster. He's like, oh, I see Jimmy Hart. So like they're all coming back into the locker room. And Jimmy Hart's Jimmy Hart's pissed.
Yeah,
said we should be the World Wrestling Federation Tag Team Champions. I'm going to call my lawyer. I'm going to get my attorney. I'm fed up with this. I'm fed up here. I'm fed up to here with this. And he's holding his hand high above his head. That's how fed up he is. And then Earthquake and Typhoon are screaming like lunatics,
out of their goddamn minds. Like they're sweating so profusely because they're 500 pounds and just had a match, but just out of their minds.
Here,
like
you
shoot.
You be Typhoon. I'll be Earthquake.
They were,
this is bullshit. But that's what it sounded like. That's not an exaggeration.
And essentially, it was all of them, Jimmy Hart included, acting like
here in the background.
This is the biggest travesty of all time. But I don't know. I
don't think it is.
Why wouldn't they know that? Why wouldn't they know that you can't win? They've been in the company a while. But then they did this backstage promo. So I'm like, okay, so they did this so they could lead to a rematch at a later date. Went on cage match, never wrestled again. So no rematch occurred. I have no idea why they did the same.
Right. I don't get it. I don't get it. Don't know. Don't care. It made me
keep them strong. I'm sure that was the only thing because the natural disasters are.
But they're looking like Baby Huey-ish at this point.
Yeah, the promo was like, "What's going on here?"
Maybe that's the point, though.
Oh yeah, make them look like crybaby heels.
Yeah, but like really strong, like dummies. I don't know. Whatever.
It was weird. It was enjoyable.
I don't
very
like.
Strange.
I've noticed that we have to do this sometimes. We have to write for them. Like,
oh, it's wrestling. We're gonna. You always have to do some of that.
They go back to Gorilla Monsoon and Bobby Heenan, and they're reiterating the rules again. They're like, you can't win by pinfall or
like we said,
you have to win by pinfall or
submission. I don't know why they're fucking all fired up.
But it's 3 segments where they're talking about the rules of a title change. We got it.
And it's in my experience, the rules that have existed forever that everyone knows.
It was different. Backstage, we see Mean Gene with a very happy Roddy Piper.
Yeah.
And he
another awesome promo.
Awesome promo. I have that one word for word if you'd like to hear it.
Yeah, go for it.
Yeah, he goes, one more time, only in America. Where else can a skinny 15-year-old kid come on down and become champion and have a chance at the world champion now? I'm gonna go in there next, Mean Gene. They're gonna be 30 guys. I'm gonna have them falling down like President Bush. Thank the Lord the Prez got up. They ain't going to be so lucky because I got a dream. I do have a dream. And I got my eye on the prize. Dedicate this one to Colt, who's his kid.
You got Muhammad Ali. He's got Dr. King.
Yeah.
And then the Bush was, I don't know if you remember this, but this George H.W. Bush, very shortly prior to this Royal Rumble, he was at like a dignitary dinner in Japan, and he threw up in the lap of and then passed out into the lap of the Japanese Prime Minister. So that's what Roddy's talking about. It's not very timely today, but Roddy really is just stream of consciousness. I think whenever he started a promo, he had no idea where he was going to go with it.
So in this era, like because I've griped about this before where, hey, do a second take of your promo. There are guys that sank or swam, and he clearly was a swimmer. Like,
and you know me, I prefer that. Sink or swim.
Yeah.
Sink. Fine. Right. Be off TV.
Absolutely.
I don't want second takes. You have to do it. Feet to the fire.
Yes.
Do it now.
Absolutely.
And that's how you get the best guys.
That's how you get the best
guys.
And
that's how the other guys improve.
Yes.
Because they're forced to.
Like you just said, a baptism by fire.
Yeah.
So again, this is now like the third segment of the show where I'm like, if I saw this when it was airing, I'm like, Roddy Piper's winning the fucking world title.
They were definitely paralleling the Flair, because there was lots of Flair stuff too.
Well, you also had Heenan seeding the whole
Heenan just nonstop on Flair. Oh, by the way, through all these matches, Heenan is like, "What number you think Flair got?"
Yeah.
Like asking Gorilla, like, "You think it's early one, or like it wouldn't be fair to Flair?" He says "fair to Flair" about 200,000 times.
Yeah.
It wouldn't be fair to Flair to force him to come out, early, because he's the real world champ. He should, have a better draw. But Heenan's talking about it, just peppering it into every one of these matches. And then also the Roddy Piper stuff is like a story. He's veteran, beloved guy, just won his first ever belt of any kind in the company, and he's got a chance. He's the first guy ever to pull double duty in the Royal Rumble. So it is like it's a parallel story.
It's very cool.
And when they meet in the ring too, it's probably the most impactful. Like, so that was a great story.
Yeah, this was. Like, this is, and I'm trying to figure out. I'm like, I always knew this was like probably the best Royal Rumble ever, and I never was able to like. Aside from like everyone in the ring being a Hall of Famer,
I just always thought it was because of the star power. Yeah. But they did the whole thing.
I don't know if a pay-per-view told. Now that you're mentioning that there was like I knew it, but like you're kind of drawing the parallel.
Like these two stories
it's really
that are converging.
Good. It's just really good TV.
Yeah, absolutely.
Exceptionally written
and you got
television.
Bobby Heenan doing his thing, man. On the back, like narrating the whole thing and making me like feel everything he feels.
And also too, coming off of like one of your biggest guys not on the show.
Yeah.
Right. Bret Hart's not on the show, and they just kind of made fucking chicken salad.
By the way, they must have known that Vince was had the screw job on him in his pocket, because they were still baby facing him.
Yeah.
They were still saying that like he's tough for even going out there to. And normally when somebody's leaving WWF, Vince is bury the shit out of him. Like. But they were still babyfacing Bret.
Yeah. He didn't learn yet. He didn't learn how to be a complete piece. This was like pre, like, hey, I can be a scumbag if I want to thing. My heart swelled again. Sean Mooney in the locker room. He's recapping the barbershop.
Probably the first ever heel promo, right?
From Shawn Michaels, yes.
From HBK.
Yeah, 100%. Shawn Michaels saying he saved Marty Jannetty from getting 29 other beatings.
That's great.
And he has no doubt that Shawn Michaels, is winning the Royal Rumble.
Yeah. Yeah, up and comer, not ready for that yet, but
but like they gave
good
him
promo.
Time.
Like he didn't, not as Kermit the Froggy as he would eventually become. He did it a little. I think when Sean puts the growl on it, that's when it gets a little Kermit the Froggy.
Yeah.
And he did the growl promos later in his career. This sounded a little different.
I'm gonna be your daddy.
This was a little. I mean, coming off of like we got Piper and Flair, like bookending. You're not going to compete with them as like a young up and comer, but like. The signs were there that he was going to be able to cut a good promo.
Right.
Like, and remember, he's been a tag team guy for his whole career up until this point. So nobody had any idea whether he could like do this kind of thing.
Yeah.
So it was like, oh yeah, I can see it. That's why Vince loved him.
Also voted in the Blue Thunder Pod year-end awards as the best heel turn in the history of wrestling.
Yeah.
That was voted, about 4 people voted.
Yes. Same 4 that I'm trying to get some match ratings from.
Yeah.
It's very difficult to.
There was no official announcement of this. We just, someone had a very, felt the need to express his opinion during WrestleMania weekend. So I'm counting that as year-end voting awards.
Sure.
So, shout out shows. Lord Alfred Hayes is backstage with Ric Flair.
I've found my way back in. Like he stumbled backstage. Like he got lost in a forest and like came like stumbling backwards with like twigs in his hair into the locker room, is the way that Lord Alfred put this.
And he found fucking Ric
Nature
Flair.
Boy.
I've never gotten lost and found Ric Flair.
No.
And it just seems so easy. another Coliseum home video exclusive.
Yeah.
Ric Flair says he's going to be number 3. I guess that's an exclusive, which if I buy the VHS, I know.
And also the commentary crew was not privy to the segments because Bobby Heenan did not know, even though Rick said it here.
And he was panicky. He's like, what number do you think? The whole time. Ric Flair says, I will be the World Wrestling Federation champion against all odds. And that's the bottom line. And then Stone Cold came out. And
it's the Nature Boy doing promos.
6 years later.
He does gradually escalating promos on this show.
4 years later.
Up until the crescendo after the match. Yeah. It's like promo class.
Yeah.
Just every kind of promo you can cut.
That's a
He's
good
just
point.
The best, man. Yeah. Flair was so clearly like, all right, I'm going to show these New York muscleheads what Crockett boys do.
Yeah.
Like what we can do in a real pro wrestling.
Yeah.
He's doing that.
Yeah.
Flair's like in the ring, like going way harder than anybody would expect him to, or anybody else was going for a battle royal. And the promos are just like.
Also, too, I noticed in the match, and we'll get to the match details, but he was doing like the Flair flop and stuff, and like not getting a lot of because like his style was so.
Well, WWF people didn't know him.
Yeah, no, but like they're also not used to like a guy moving nonstop for an hour.
Yeah,
like, and he was constantly doing shit. He just didn't sit in a corner and get stomped for 5 minutes.
It's WCW, right? It's like what the Southern fans expected.
They worked, man. Yeah. They worked, and the more, again, we say it all the time now. Where the more we're watching these WCW shows, it's like, wow, this is like night and day, fucking
absolutely
like apples to oranges kind of wrestling.
Like again, it's good with the bad. Like WWE, a lot like this. The glitz and glamour, and that again, that's not to minimize that because that's super fun.
Yeah.
The introductions and the music and all that, like having all these incredible backstage guys outside of Lord Alfred's, like that's all part of it too.
Yeah.
WCW didn't have any of that. They just had like the workers, and then the style of promo that we're talking about, the sink or swim kind of thing. And Flair does like 4 of them.
Yeah, he's clearly in a class of his own. So speaking of promos, prior to the Royal Rumble starting, they have solo backstage promos.
This was cool too.
This was very cool. Not everybody, but like a nice chunk of dudes. Like it clearly showed you who the top guys were in the match, which is weird to say because the guys that didn't get these promos are also fucking Hall
top
of Famers.
Guys. And they did give Repo Man one of these here.
Yeah,
I was like, Repo, come on.
Well,
you know Repo.
It's usually 9 out of 10 doctors agree. He was the one doctor that. Yeah. So the promos, I don't have any notes for most of these, so stop me at any point. But
Macho doing a macho.
Macho doing a macho.
Sid crazy close up. Like it opens on his up his nose.
Yep.
Repo Man, my note was seriously Repo. Come on.
I do like that his tights had tire marks on them. Like like the implication is that Repo Men just get driven over by like they're trying to repossess cars and the guy guns it and runs over them.
I would do that if somebody was trying to take my car.
Yeah.
Drive over Barry Darso.
He's just got in so many different directions. Like how many times?
Also, his gimmick seemed to just be a thief more than like he's repossessing stuff that you wouldn't repossess.
No.
Stealing bikes and stuff.
Yeah.
Like
repossessions are done like legally.
Yeah.
Like, and he seems like he was just
stealing people's stuff.
A bank robber.
Like kids stuff.
Yeah.
Kids don't make payments on things.
They certainly do not.
The British Bulldog,
Jesus Christ.
barely getting, like, you could see the sweat on his brow, just like, oh, Lord, what? It was like Lord Alfred Hayes. It's the British people thing on this show for some reason.
And I'm going to win the Royal Rumble because I'm
way
bizarre.
too long. Like, it was just like, and you could tell that as soon as he was able to like get to the end and wrap it up, he was like, oh, thank God, and very happy with himself, and like did a big breath afterwards.
Can I just go pick people up now? That's all I'm good at.
It's also funny that he calls London his hometown, and he's got like the least London accent I've ever heard.
Yeah,
it's like a super countryside British thing.
Yeah.
Like, but yeah, he's like sweating more and more. I think he started the promo and then like forgot how it was supposed to end, and then had to keep talking, and his eyes got bigger, and the sweat was beading, and like it was pretty funny.
It was so starkly bad because Jake Roberts.
They follow up with Jake Roberts doing his classic like perfect, subdued in the best way, scary, quiet,
like he's
which The Rock, by the way, did on Raw this week.
Yeah. I can't wait to talk about actual wrestling or current day wrestling. He also, they didn't mention this. If they did, they may have done it like in passing. Recently, they had the big angle where the Macho Man got bit by the Cobra.
Yeah.
And Jake Roberts he continues that feud
Yeah,
in
that's
this
a story in the promo and in the match, too.
That's a giant, like, historical story in this company, and it's not. It's like the fourth thing, like, on the...
Because you got your Roddy and your Flair and Heenan.
And you got your Bushwhackers. Your Jameson.
Yeah.
Boo.
Beverly Brothers.
And then, it is funny to look at the order here. British Bulldog, Jake Roberts, Masterclass, Ric Flair with Mr. Perfect.
Another Ric Flair, which a further escalation. The first one was that's the bottom
Even
line.
Mr. Perfect
and this
did a
one
good
was
job.
a little bit more of classic. Woo! To beat a man, you gotta beat the man. Like,
I mean, that's just more evidence that Coliseum Home Video was just not paying for these guys enough, because that was too very like.
The way I read it was, this is the match is coming up now. This is Flair firing himself up.
That's hype. Yep, that's a good point. And then you had The Undertaker with Paul Bearer. Paul Bearer said I didn't write it down, but it bothered me. He's like, I have 29 what is it?
Souls or something.
It's just like he went, you know what? I don't care. I'm not even going to finish this thought, because who gives a shit?
My thought was, it's in retrospect, this is very sad seeing these two together, knowing how this relationship comes to an end.
Yeah.
Eventually.
Oh, he buries him in cement.
Murders his father. Later on.
And then you had Hulk Hogan with his he's trying to change his rippable T-shirt. I didn't like it. I had this toy as a child with the different shirt, and it was my least favorite Hulk Hogan.
Yeah, I remember disliking the change as well.
Yeah, it's like, this is fucking bullshit.
When I couldn't find a time, but Hogan refers to, and then several other people too, say this afternoon. Is this like a noon pay-per-view or something?
Very well could have been.
They all kept saying this afternoon.
Maybe in the early 90s you referred to the evening as afternoon.
Like, it sounds like they're going to tea or something. We're gonna chat it out this afternoon. No, it's tonight live. Yeah. But Hogan says it again, kind of subdued. Bitching about Jack Tunney also. Like, all right, babyface, stop complaining about the company.
Yeah.
Like, that's not a babyface
you're
thing.
most over guy. Come to think of it, these were probably all pre-tapes that they did a different day.
Yeah.
They probably did them like Wednesday prior.
Which makes Flair's even more impressive. Because he wasn't like...
He put his game face on.
Yeah.
He was ready for it. The Royal Rumble is next. A young, dashing Howard Finkel gives the instructions. Big thing here. It's 2-minute intervals. 2-minute intervals. The Royal Rumble's not always.
I forgot to mention. I'm sorry to cut you off. But... one of my favorite few things in wrestling history, we got a couple of Think and New is like my favorite. That's the one. That's the call for a new title holder for me.
I tell you what, Samantha Irvine Irvine,
she's awesome.
She's right there.
She was the MVP of WrestleMania this weekend, but
she's gonna blow her vocal cords out. But she's like a singer, so I don't know. She knows what she's doing. I don't know. Credit where credit's due. Heenan is panicking at this point.
Yeah, yes.
Like, this is the big one.
Like, he sounds like I feel when I'm having an anxiety attack.
Yeah.
Like, he's I need some water. I'm getting cotton mouth here. Gorilla, seriously, what number do you think Flair got?
It
would be unfair to Flair.
Unfair to Flair. He's screaming like a guy that just put his whole mortgage on a racehorse.
Yes,
like, it's
absolutely.
Just so cool. Speaking of Jack Tunney, he's introduced next. Big boos.
Yeah.
From a crowd that has booed nothing so far. He is the biggest heel on the show.
In my memory, Jack Tunney never really did anything
nothing wrong.
Abrasive. It was like, okay, we need to vacate the titles because...
Well, maybe that's why they're booing him, because there was so much fuckery around, like... Which was like the presidential thing to do. It's just like, screw it, no one's champion now.
Why was this title vacated? I probably should have looked this up.
It was what was it, this Tuesday in Texas or whatever? Uh-huh. That's when... The Undertaker beat Hulk Hogan for the world title because Flair held the chair. I believe it's that event.
Okay.
And then it was on the heels of two. There was, I believe, a match prior to that. I didn't look it up either. I'm just going off memory. But I think the title changed in such weird ways that Jack Tunney's just like, I'm vacating the goddamn title.
Okay. Yeah.
Which I kind of like.
It's probably it's a bunch of that doesn't work for me, brothers.
Yeah.
That led to just, okay, this is too much fuckery. We're just vacating the title.
Right. But, whatever. Heenan's very impatient while Jack Tunney's talking. He's just like, let's go already. I noticed that a couple things. Production-wise, they really have improved since 1992.
Oh, I mean, a million.
Only the first two guys get entrance music.
Yeah,
which kind of annoyed me.
Yeah. If it wasn't for the star power, it would have bugged me. And if it wasn't for the fact that there were no surprises,
Yeah.
because like on modern Rumbles, and when I say modern, I mean everyone after this one. Like I said, the most important, really, the only thing I like about it is like the countdown and then hearing the music for somebody, because you're waiting to see who the surprise guys are going to be.
Yeah,
Or
1,000%. And they don't do like when guys get into the ring now, and for a while they'll do like giant, like big spots.
Yeah.
Or like they'll go after somebody and do something cool. There's one point, I forget who it is, but
There was a couple big boots to somebody's noggin. It was like real brutal.
So there were some?
looking. There was,
Okay.
yeah.
I guess I tuned out. I was so concerned with getting all the
Barbarian kicked Boss Man in the face.
Okay.
Like, because I was like, oh, I think he knocked his tooth out.
Yeah.
But you're right. In general,
a lot of
it was not.
guys were just, they'd get in the ring, they'd kind of like look around, and then they would just start punching somebody.
But there was nonstop action. It wasn't. There was like not. Heenan kept saying to Flair, because Flair drew 3, which made Heenan just almost have a nervous breakdown. He just kept like, why, Flair? Why do you keep pushing like this? Just slide under the bottom rope. Just sit in that corner and wait it out. You don't have to do it like this.
Right.
I mean, Flair's like baby facing it up because he's like working his ass off for an hour here.
Yeah, he didn't do
and
any.
it was driving Bobby crazy.
Yeah. How do you want to do this?
But the whole match, I don't like.
I have the whole order and who eliminated everybody.
Me too.
Yeah.
But like really, the stuff I want to talk about is more just like trivia and notes, because the match. What I'll say, I'll give a general for myself.
Yeah.
And then however, if you want to do
That's
more
fair.
like specific, this was my favorite Rumble actual match ever. And it was mostly because it was cohesive. There was nonstop action. It wasn't just Ric Flair was the hardest worker on the show, but like everybody was working hard, and there were all these little stories going on within the match that led to cool like Roddy facing off with Flair when he came down, and and Macho and Jake the Snake, and like all that stuff tied in. And it also led to, instead of just normal battle royal punch, let's try to push the guy over for 10 seconds but fail. Like it was a lot of action.
Absolutely.
There was always something for my eye to go to in this match, which is not usually the case in battle royals.
Also, too, it's a good point. I didn't consider that all the action led to actual elimination sometimes.
Yeah.
There were some where you're just like, oh, that
surprising
did it?
ones.
Yeah.
I wish they would do that more now.
Yeah. Instead of having everything to be like grandiose and like, why did that guy eliminate that guy? It's like, because he fucking did it. It's
sometimes
a big ass
just,
spoiler. There's 30 goddamn guys.
Sometimes you're just in a bad spot and you get knocked out.
Yeah.
like
So just the star power here. I'll just, because this match I think was 2 sections. I think 1 through 15 and then 15 through 30.
Yeah.
So the first 15 guys in the ring, it's just fun to say all these names because they're all like Hall of Famers. British Bulldog, Ted DiBiase, Ric Flair, Jerry Sags. All right, we got a dud. Haku, another dud. Shawn Michaels, El Matador, Tito Santana.
Yeah, it's funny that. And Heenan throwing a number of, like, I don't even know if it's racist. He just kept talking about Mexican food.
Yeah.
With, like, I guess it's racist because he's Tito's Mexican-American.
But sometimes
he was just like, enchiladas. I don't know if that is a racist thing to
just
say.
put it in his head.
Like,
I had enchiladas earlier today.
like
I don't feel racist at all.
Said to my mom, oh, you love pierogies because you're Polish. She'd be like, yeah, I
they're
do.
amazing.
Like, I'm Polish. Yeah. Like,
Show me the man who doesn't. I'll show you a liar. El Matador, a Barbarian, Texas Tornado. It's his right leg, by the way.
It's fucking wild how he moves
with a
no
fake
foot.
leg. Yeah,
like if I didn't know, would have absolutely no idea. I didn't then,
right?
And like watching now, I'm watching real close, and I'm like, he's just moving around like nothing ever happened.
Yeah,
and there's a whole missing foot under that boot.
I thought for sure because I didn't know. And I'm like, it's his left leg. I'm watching, and I'm like, nope, it's his right leg.
Yeah, I couldn't tell.
No,
that's how great he is at moving around.
Texas Tornado, Kerry Von Erich of the Von Erich family, highlighted in the film The Iron Claw.
It's excellent, by the way.
Which I haven't seen yet because apparently it's just the saddest.
It's
thing
very,
ever.
very, very sad.
Yeah, I don't know.
I mean, it's a Von Erich movie.
Yeah.
Like,
I'll watch Twister if I want sadness. Boo. Repo Man, who's getting a lot of shine on this pay-per-view. Greg the Hammer Valentine, Nikolai Volkov, Big Boss Man, who was a house of fire.
Yeah. Bossman was a fucking big giant athlete at this time. He was like 22 or something here too.
Yeah.
But like you forget how giant he was. He was like 6'8", and just could move for 400 pounder.
So fun.
Yeah.
Great charisma. Just so much fun to watch.
And still, Bossman Slam is like my favorite big man move ever.
Yes.
It's like Abyss and Big Bill.
Yeah.
That's what they use. Love it.
And then Hercules rounds out the first 1 through 14.
Hercules is he's a body guy, as Vince would say.
Yeah. So I mean, right there, that's good. That's
is.
a good lineup. That trounces 95
Absolutely.
when Shawn Michaels won.
I always, whenever I see Nikolai Volkov, my thought is, this would be much better if this were Nikita Koloff.
Yeah.
But he like spent his entire career in
I think,
WCW. So
yeah, I think they're interchangeable. And
but
whoever's
Nikita Koloff's a good wrestler.
Yeah.
And Nikolai Volkov,
they just
not
need,
so much.
Vince just needs a Russian.
Yeah.
He doesn't care who. Which one of you red coats is available?
Heenan had no
they literally
sympathy
were-
for the Russians, by the way.
No.
He was calling this match, and Gorilla said, he was like, oh, the Russians are having some strife right now. And Heenan's just like, oh, too bad for them.
So the reason I stopped at not Hercules number 14 because at this point Ric Flair is all alone in the ring. So
Yeah.
Ric Flair is drawn number 3, and he is putting on the Iron Man performance. And now we really kick it into goddamn gear.
The Iron Man performance because
Yes.
prior to this, the model Rick Martel,
Yeah.
and it was one other guy they mentioned, Greg Valentine maybe.
Greg Valentine, yes.
And it was like 40 minutes or something. It was nothing close to this.
Yeah. They did I write down Rick Martel? Oh, Rick Martel was the record holder for the prior year at 52 minutes and 34 seconds.
And I think Valentine was just the overall record holder.
Like
Right?
collectively,
Prior.
I didn't write that down. Since we're talking about him, how the hell is Rick Martel not in the Hall of Fame?
I don't know. Like, again, as we watch this stuff, I'm like, this guy was around for forever.
He
like did a bunch of big
feuds, too.
things,
Yeah.
like important things, and he was very good
Yeah.
in the ring. He had a good character, like
Like
I
a
don't know.
great solo, a
It's
great
weird.
tag.
It is weird that he's not in the Hall of Fame.
I have an email. Yeah, that just struck me. I'm like, oh, yeah, I forgot about Rick Martel. So Ric Flair's all alone in the ring, and now we're going to start 15, which is Roddy Piper.
Yeah.
Which, cool, right away. They're giving these.
That's your midpoint. It's a movie. That's your midpoint.
That's your
It's
mid-season
midpoint.
finale of,
Like,
of the, and you're like,
That's where the big turn happens in a movie. In a 3-act structure, the midpoint is where
Yeah.
the big twist happens.
That's true. I said mid-season finale. I'm wrong. This is one movie. This is This is the peak. So Roddy Piper gets just the biggest goddamn pop ever.
Yes.
And at this point, again, if it's 1992 and I'm watching this, I'm like, I have no idea what's gonna happen.
No, I wouldn't know.
It was so cool. It was just so goddamn cool.
Also, I in the back of my mind, I'd be like, fucking probably going to be Hogan.
Yeah,
here.
yeah,
Like,
that's because he won the prior 2 years.
two prior, yeah.
Which they didn't really
they mentioned it once.
once.
Only once.
Once.
Yeah.
When Cody Rhodes won this year, how many times do we have to
Because I
hear?
think Hogan was kind of the idea was there that he might be on the way out.
They didn't want to
kinda
shine him
thing.
up.
So it's what it felt like.
Yeah.
But then they did go back and re-record the end to like change the boos and cheers.
We
and-
will cover that at the
So
end.
they still were doing their Hogan bullshit. But
So after Ric Flair and Roddy Piper are in the ring for a while, Jake the Snake Roberts comes out. Heenan yells, "I'm soaking wet," and he said, "I bet you Ric Flair's lost 6 or 7 pounds already."
Yeah. He keeps talking about how he needs water, and then he's like, "You stupid, bring me something to drink." No, not water. I need something a little stiffer than that. Like,
He's just losing his. And people like say this is his best performance because it's not. It's not even close.
he's
so
just going
funny.
nuts the whole time. Like, it's a 2-hour pay-per-view. He does not stop. Like,
Hacksaw Jim Duggan is 17. IRS is 18. Superfly Jimmy Snuka, who killed his girlfriend in May of '83,
yes, he
is
did.
number 19.
and I'm pretty sure that's why his daughter is still employed by the WWF
Yeah.
because they feel weird.
Severance
because
package.
Vince paid off the judges to get Superfly off.
Well,
so he's like tied to him. in
His
some
daughter is an exceptional asset to the women's division.
way. Does she do like medical stuff in the back or whatever? Because certainly nothing on camera.
No, she is the benchmark for who is the meanest.
Did you ever see Tamina when SmackDown they did a women's karaoke?
No.
And Tamina sang Triple H's The Game.
Oh.
I will have to play it for you.
Yeah.
Not only is she the shittiest wrestler in the history of the world, Her singing voice sounds exactly like the bus driver from South Park.
Oh,
Like exactly.
not bad.
Like the bird lady
Yeah.
with the. I'll play it for you. She's the worst.
Yeah. No, she's an asset.
Been employed since prior to the pipe bomb. Again, 2024 right now.
So after Murder, Jimmy Snuka comes out. By the way, this is the point where they mention, and they should have probably mentioned this earlier, that Gorilla Monsoon says Hulk Hogan and The Undertaker have been given preferential treatment with late numbers because they were part of the reason that the title is even on the line for the Rumble at this point.
They said the preferential treatment, but I missed the reason why.
Because they stripped them of the titles, and they were the two, like...
But they did say that.
They did say
so I just
preferential
missed
treatment,
it.
yeah. Which... Okay, I don't know how preferential because the next guy out is the fucking Undertaker.
Yeah.
Like 29 and 30, that's about as good as preferential as you can get. The only elimination I will mention is the Undertaker threw Jimmy Snuka out right away because he's a murderer. He killed his girlfriend.
Oh, I forgot.
Yeah.
Jack Tunney. Heenan. He had so many great ones. We're going to miss some, but Jack Tunney comes out and Heenan says, "Oh, he's the best president since Emmanuel Noriega."
You could chime in anytime you want with Heenan stuff because it's applicable everywhere. So number 21. So this was awesome. Macho Man Randy Savage comes in next. They switch to an aerial view of the ring. When Macho Man runs out, Jake Roberts falls out, like he just lays on his back and rolls out of the ring and he hides.
Yeah.
And then Macho Man sprints in the ring looking for Roberts. He does like a 360 and you can't find him because he's not in there.
Yeah.
And then he gets beat down. And only once he's beat down does Jake come back in the ring.
Back in.
Details.
Yeah. Like I said, there's a million different stories going on, which is why the match there was always action to watch because it was never just two randos punching each other like not very hard because they don't care. It's like all these feuds. They just are having them all have the matches within the match.
Yeah. And this particular one's fresh. It was the end of November in 1991, and this is mid-January 1992. Once Jake Roberts gets in the ring, Savage throws him out, and then Savage leapfrogs over the top rope, eliminating himself.
Yeah, but he came back in later, and then they were like arguing whether...
Apparently, you have to be thrown out in this era of Royal Rumble because Macho Man stayed in for a long time after that.
I could have swore I've seen other people... I think I saw Kofi do it a couple times, like eliminate himself.
Yeah, but now it's... I don't think that was quite a rule yet.
Yeah,
So,
like Heenan and Gorilla were like, "Are you? I think you need to be propelled out of the ring." So,
but also too, not to bring up 1995 again, but or whatever year Mil Mascaras was in it, he jumped off the top rope to the outside, and like all the refs were like, "No, you're out, dude," and like he didn't understand the rules.
Yeah,
and they like made him leave, and he was all pissed off. So I guess whatever fits the story.
Yeah,
and they wanted,
or they changed it right then and there because Mil Mascaras famously is like the hardest guy to get to agree to lose a match ever.
No, yeah.
So they probably were like, "Oh no, do the spot," and then he did the spot. And they were like, "By the way, you're done,
starting right now." A little bit of a dip because we have just had so much quality so far.
Yeah.
22 is Berserker. 23
who is
Husk.
He is 100%. What's his face? The dude, the guy that got stabbed to death, world famous.
Bruiser
wrestler.
Brody.
Bruiser Brody. He's doing Bruiser Brody did Huss,
for real?
Huss, and he's like a bearded, like 6'6", brown haired, long beard, long hair guy.
Yeah.
They just put like a goofy hat on the Berserker, but he's just doing Bruiser Brody.
Yeah.
Like, it's like Vince has got a lot of those kind of rip off, like Demolition and Road Warriors kind of thing. This was their Bruiser Brody for sure.
Well, it was either Bruiser Brody or whoever what's-his-face was in Revenge of the Nerds. That was the...
Oh, he looked exactly like...
I can't think of his name.
Not Booger. Nerds!
Yeah.
What is his name?
Well, here we go. We have the internet right in front of us.
But he did the hand thing and the huss. That part is absolutely Bruiser Brody.
Well, there's his picture. What is your name, sir? You are...
I'm embarrassed that I can't
I am too.
come up with this right now.
I'm looking... There's a bunch of photos of... Ogre,
you asshole.
Yeah. So Virgil comes in. He goes right for IRS because he has beef with the $1 Million Man.
Keenan
and the IRS
slightly
does his taxes.
racistly makes a comment that Virgil might be going through people's bags in the backstage.
Stick with the line. Stick with the through story.
92.
Yeah, they're not... Again, with all the like... subtle like gay jokes.
And that actually might not have been a racist thing. That may have been like a direct...
Maybe Virgil was robbing people.
Well, Million Dollar Man did, like, he was saying Virgil stealing for me and he stole my belt or whatever. It might have just been a gimmick thing. I may be giving Heenan shit where he shouldn't be getting it.
That's fair. Out next is Colonel Mustafa.
Heenan's got a great line here.
What does he say?
So Colonel Mustafa, I want to get it right.
Yeah.
He says about Colonel Mustafa, what an elite battle plan he has here. That's the reason why Hussein made him a general.
Oh,
Colonel Mustafa.
Yeah.
Colonel.
Yeah.
That's why Hussein made him a general.
Made him a general. But he's a colonel.
It's Colonel.
He's got multiple pins on his flak jacket. So that's the Iron Sheik, which why can't you just make him the Iron Sheik? Why do you got to repackage like one of the most famous guys?
War is happening, and
yeah, but the Iron Sheik is still like applicable.
Yes.
Famous Iranian Iron Sheik.
Yeah, Iran. It was Iraq, though, so it had to be Iraq.
Oh, sure. Yeah, because everyone in America really cared at the time. Hot Shots didn't care.
I
should not have cared.
I certainly didn't care in 1992.
Next is aforementioned Rick. The Rick Martel, was he the model at this point? I think he had pink. He had his pink tights. I think he might have been.
I think he was.
Yeah. And then after Rick Martel at number 26 is Hulk Hogan. He is a House of Fire. Throws out a bunch of dudes. And next is Skinner at 27. 28. Oh,
Skinner got a zero, no reaction.
No.
You have a thought? I should know this because he's like my guy.
Terry Bollea.
Was Rick Rude already?
Yeah.
In WCW at this point?
Yeah.
Okay. All right. Yeah. Feels like he should have been there in then like 93 or something.
I think this was because this was WrestleMania 8 was coming up. He wasn't on 8.
Okay.
Was he on was he on 7? We should know this.
Yeah.
We're better than this. We're better than this.
Well, yeah, he's probably a WCW with the greatest entrance music in the history of it. You're simply ravishing.
Wow. Wow, wow, wow.
No, not that.
After Sergeant Slaughter, Sid Justice comes out to a lava hot pop.
Yeah, his debut in the company. I didn't know that until...
that would explain the pop.
This is his in-ring debut.
That would explain his wonderfully baby blue tights as well. Very off-putting.
Flair steals his line before he can even say it, by the way.
What's that?
In his last promo, Flair says, because the champ, which is going to be me, rules the world. And it's Sid rules the world.
He's the master and the ruler of the world.
The master?
He said he's the master.
The master?
Yeah.
You got to do it.
The master.
Yeah.
The master.
Sullivan.
Sullivan.
Thank you very much.
The master and the ruler of the world. Sullivan.
That dude should have been on every pay-per-view, both companies.
It should have been a 3-man panel. It should have been Gorilla Monsoon, Bobby Heenan,
and the master.
And the master.
Just going, Sullivan.
I don't know why I couldn't. That just. I can't wait to listen back to you go, Sullivan. And number 30, the Warlord.
Number 30, throughout the years, has kind of always been a dud. There's been a few, but like, it's always like, oh, that.
But
really?
we've been, it's been so few great ones that now the expectation is that it's awesome all the time.
Yeah.
And you're hitting it on the head here. It's been awesome like a couple times. Like when Cena came back. He's never going to top that. But
I love that one because everybody pops so hard for him, and then like 5 minutes into him wrestling, they're like, "Oh yeah, we still like you, boo."
Well, we like surprises. We like to be a part of it.
We do like surprises.
So Hogan is, by the way, the biggest babyface in the company. He's fighting Flair outside at this point.
Yeah.
Neither are eliminated. They just go into the bottom row, and he's just beating the shit out of Ric Flair outside, suplexing him outside and stuff.
Just doing all kinds of every dirty trick in the book.
Yeah, as the biggest babyface in the company
understand
typically does.
Why people cheered for him. I cheered for him.
Yeah. The final four were Sid, Hulk Hogan, Ric Flair, and Randy Savage.
Yeah.
God damn it.
Pretty good final four.
God damn it. Flair and Sid eliminate. Oh, hang on. Before we get to that, with a whimper, Sid eliminates Roddy Piper and Rick Martel at the same time.
Yeah, it was the same time. I don't mind with the whimper thing because, like we were talking about, this Rumble definitely had a if you wrong place, wrong time, it might just happen.
Yeah.
And that's kind of how that happened with this one. Like more fanfare or whatever. I would have got, or like have Flair do it, maybe.
Yes. Set something up.
Yeah.
But, I mean, given, like we already mentioned, given that they're going with Hart and Piper at Mania in a couple months, fine, but don't spend all this time throughout the pay-per-view building something. They forgot to write the third act in this thing.
Yeah. I mean, I think the build was to them meeting in the ring, which they did, and it was cool when the crowd went crazy for it too. But yeah, the
final
elimination was not.
Final two should have been Piper and Flair.
Yeah, probably.
And it would have been 10 times
Could have
better
avoided
than
the Hogan
dog
bullshit.
shit that happened next. So the final four, as we mentioned, Sid, Hulk Hogan, Ric Flair, Randy Savage. Ric Flair and Sid eliminate Macho Man, so now it's down to Hogan, Flair, and Sid. Sid eliminates Hulk Hogan, clean as a whistle. Biggest babyface in the company, Hulk Hogan.
People go apeshit.
Yeah,
cheering. By the way,
jaw jabbering with Sid. Sid puts his arm out of the ring, pointing at Hogan. Hogan grabs his arm.
Eliminated Hogan, already eliminated.
Hogan's gone.
out of the match.
He's out of the match.
Grabs Sid's hand.
And Ric Flair, opportunistic heel Ric Flair, dumps out Sid.
Flips him up over the, But,
and which he, again, nothing wrong.
No.
He was an opportunistic. I don't even think that's a heel move. You're
the last guy is over the ropes. You go flip him over.
Absolutely.
Flair worked this entire thing old school babyface.
Yeah.
He worked his ass off. He wasn't going to take any shortcuts. He was there for over an hour and busting he was bumping hard for Hogan at the end still. Right. He was still doing Flair flops at the 65-minute mark or whatever. Yeah. Incredible performance.
Yeah.
Heenan, when he gets the win, just yes. It's about 15, 16 yeses in a row. Unbelievable.
Then he bails on commentary completely. You hear his headset get thrown off, and he goes to join Flair. And this is not what the focus is coming out of the Royal Rumble. We have a brand new WWF champion.
Yeah. I mean, not even at the end of the Royal Rumble, because Flair gets it, and he has it, and he goes to the back immediately.
He only gets out of the ring because Hogan's
already
runs back into the ring, and he tries to attack Flair as if Flair did anything wrong.
Flair did nothing except win the match.
And then Flair he's just sitting in the aisleway, holding on to
Hogan
the world
gets
title.
to stay in the middle of the ring like always.
And then Sid gets back in the ring, and they have a pull apart.
Yeah.
So what you see in the crowd is the last thing on the Royal Rumble is Hulk Hogan and Sid having this pull apart. Now, you were so gracious to bring it to my attention that the WWF did not necessarily like how the fans were reacting to Hulk Hogan.
Nor how Gorilla or Bobby Heenan reacted to, because they just called it as they saw it, which is what we just explained it.
Yeah.
So they went back and did some re-editings, and for many, many, many years, on every video cassette, and then later for the when the network first went up for years, they had a re-edited to downplay the cheers when Hogan got eliminated. So it cut a lot of those down. So it didn't want to sound like Hogan, was being cheered that he was eliminated. But then they actually had Heenan and Gorilla go back into the booth and ADR, re-record the end to make it sound like Sid was doing a big dastardly thing by being evil by just eliminating Hogan. He didn't do anything wrong. He did nothing illegal. 100% within the rules. Just took advantage of Hogan not paying attention and threw him over the top. And they had to cut in this really awkward and weird, and it definitely didn't fit what Heenan had been doing the whole pay-per-view, the new stuff that they cut in. And thankfully they a couple of years ago on Peacock they restored the old sound.
Did Hogan do something that may have put his legacy in maybe a negative light, where they would be so willing to walk that back?
Maybe. Did you read what Sid says about what happened post this match?
No.
So it started the little snippet I read was when Hulk Hogan was eliminated late in the match, a lot of the crowd actually cheered on his exit, surprisingly. According to Sid Justice, Hogan then absolutely screamed at Vince McMahon backstage, blaming Vince for setting Hogan up to be booed. Sid told Vince, "I can't work in a place where a grown man acts like this. I'm going home. I'm done." The cheers were edited out of subsequent showings of the match, and the reaction altered.
Yeah.
Blaming Vince, too. Vince is an asshole. I blame him for everything, but not this.
Right.
Like,
That just seems like a lot of work that no one bought it.
yeah. I'm very happy that, like, despite their best efforts to make the end of this show about Sid and Hogan,
Yeah.
it's remembered as like, this is the Ric Flair, Bobby
One of the best
Heenan.
promos of
Like,
all time.
so
Yeah.
thankfully they give Rick a chance to talk.
Yeah.
Which fucking there's nothing Hogan or Sid can do that
No.
can take the shine off of Ric Flair's like pulling a promo post match after he wins the world title.
That was kind of cool too, like going backstage after the Rumble. Because
Yeah.
usually you see the copyright and the show's over.
Exactly, and it would have sucked so bad if it was Hogan and Sid copyright. Instead, we go to the back, Mean Gene's back there yelling at somebody who's smoking a cigarette. But you could catch that. Put that cigarette out.
Yeah.
But it's Flair, and he's flanked by now Heenan, who's like caught up with him, and Mr. Perfect is like the greatest stable ever.
Yeah.
Those three, and Flair. Now this is final form Ric Flair promo,
Yeah.
like full on
This is
on
the best
one.
promo. This is the best promo he ever cut. in his
Probably,
life.
yeah. It's one of the best promos I've ever seen. I
Yeah,
mean, it
like,
just is
period.
incredible.
This,
Like,
this might be. I mean, this is definitely top 5.
it's the
in history.
definitive. Like, to be the man, you got to beat the man.
Yeah.
And I proved that I'm the the real world champ here.
Right.
I can't do it. I mean, it's impossible to do it justice. Like, it's just go watch it. It's one of the greatest. And then like after. Heenan pops in for a little extra promo and to add some, and he doesn't like. Sometimes that could take away from something that awesome, but absolutely not. It's just like he's fanboying it up for his guy Rick, and it just puts him over even harder.
Absolutely. Yeah. Flair cuts 2 promos in backstage.
Yeah. Yes.
And and Heenan
It
cuts
is, I'm
one.
telling you,
Perfect cuts
it is
one.
a promo
Dude, I'm just gonna read it.
clinic.
Ric Flair, let me just say, after video distorting the belt that proclaimed me the real world's champion, I'm going to tell you all, with a tear in my eye.
That's the great, yeah.
This is the
delivery
greatest
there.
moment in my life.
Like,
When you walk around this world and you tell everyone that you're number one, the only way that you get to stay number one is to be number one. And this is the only title in the wrestling world that makes you number one. When you are the king of the WWF, you rule the world. Think about it like that, Mr. Perfect, the Brain, woo, woo. And then Bobby Heenan say, "You did it. I was never so impressed with anything I've ever seen in all my life." He went out there for over 60 minutes, never took a back step, took it to Hogan, took it to The Undertaker, took it to whoever got in that ring. That's why we're calling him the real world's heavyweight champion.
yeah.
Mr. Perfect. Hey, we're not the guys to say we told you so, but... And with Heenan, we told you so. Gene Okerlund. Okay, very good. Ric Flair, you put that cigarette out. Someone celebrate with a smoke.
And then he's like shooting darts at somebody who had a cigarette, evidently.
You made World Wrestling Federation history tonight. And Ric Flair, it's the greatest moment of my life. I want to jump. I want to party. But I got to tell you like this. For the Hulk Hogans and the Macho Mans and the Pipers and the Sids, now it's Ric Flair. And you all pay homage to the man. Woo! Ha ha! I love it. I love it. I love it.
If like I don't remember thinking this back then because I think I was too young. But if I were a little bit older and had been a WWF fan this whole time and never paid attention to WCW and saw this show, I would be like, "Oh shit, I was wrong. Ric Flair's the best wrestler, and he's been the best wrestler in the world for years." And I just wasn't watching because that was this like totality of this performance in ring, and then the 4 promos he cut. It's just like, oh, this is what we've been missing.
Right.
Now I get it. He's just the best.
Only this, like, and again, I even wrote at the end, Piper should have won, but only because of the absolute goddamn clinic that you just mentioned that Flair put on in every aspect of this show. Am I like historically? Again, it's. Like I've said, it's one of the greatest promos ever. It's one of the greatest performances ever. Royal Rumbles, which is like everybody's favorite match in wrestling. Like this is the best one.
It's the one that everybody wants to watch.
I almost got passionate and ripped the mic out again.
Usually for the surprises, but
that's the only, like, looking back, I'm like, they could have went with Piper, they could have went with Flair, but like ultimately, like, yay.
Yeah, absolutely.
Goddamn grand slam.
And they almost ruined it with Hogan having to grandstand.
Yeah.
But they had the good sense of going, you know what? Let's let the man talk, because nothing can outshine Ric Flair.
No.
In a post championship win promo. Like,
You know what can outshine Ric Flair in a WrestleMania? Hulk Hogan and Sid.
yeah.
Boo.
Boo.
Boo. We'll do that one day, WrestleMania 8.
So that's Royal Rumble 1992. I think we both have kind of touched on it, but yeah, I think it's the best one ever. One of the greatest WWF pay-per-views of all time. Best.
I can't think of a Rumble I like aside from pure nostalgia. Like I like 94.
Yeah.
Just because dude, I love Bret Hart so much I would walk around limping.
There were a couple Stone Cold, both Stone Cold ones
Yes.
I loved, but just as as a singular defining performance. This was like a guy who just decided, I'm going to show all these fans who don't know me what I am, what I've been doing, and what they've been missing. And he did it all in one show.
And they still didn't fucking take the bait. Like he did. He could not have worked harder to be the biggest star in the company.
Because they had been conditioned to believe you needed big steroidy muscles and to be 6'7" or whatever.
Yeah.
And,
and as a fan, I believe that too.
Me too. I was a kid, and I was like, I believe you,
that,
Vince, because that's what. Yeah,
we thought Andre the Giant was threatening.
This is all in retrospect now. Now we go back and oh Jesus Christ, Ric Flair's so much better than most of the top of this these guys, even great guys and just the job he did here. This was the most intentional, defining thing I've ever seen a single wrestler do.
This is the grabbing the brass ring moment.
Yeah.
It really
Warlow
is.
should watch the 92 Rumble.
Yeah, yes. Do yourself a favor. If you want to be happy this weekend or this upcoming week.
Yeah, this just full on recommend.
Yeah, can't recommend enough.
I think we're going to continue our Bobby Heenan thing next week, but unfortunately, Dave, and I'll text you later with some options. We have to go with a stinker because we've done two good ones in a row, and the stinkers usually are funnier for our wonderful listeners.
Our pain is their joy.
So yeah, at least we get to do good lines though, and we'll have Bobby Heenan still. We'll always have Heenan.
Yeah, he's always the cherry on top. He's the lipstick on the pig.
Thank you guys for joining us today. Hope you do it again next Monday. We'll be dropping one of these every Monday morning for the foreseeable future. So as long as you guys keep listening, we'll keep doing it. Thanks again, everybody.
Bye.
Bye-bye.
Bye.